Hello everyone, today a very interesting video awaits you. I would like to ask you to support this video by liking and subscribing to the channel. Enjoy watching everyone. 20 years ago, a mysterious meteorite from the Gue constellation fell to the Earth at great speed. The celestial body crumbled into thousands of small fragments with incredible energy. They were called Shenlin by cultivators, which means magic scales. Anyone with such scales could take their abilities to a fundamentally new level. One of the powerful people discovered for himself the magical essence of one scale, which surpassed all the others in its power. Others wanted to get a scale of immortality. The skyship of the Institute of Magical Mechanics is attacked by enemy forces. The battle is in the clouds. The people defending the ship are trying with all their might to repel the attack. The fighters have nowhere to retreat. The young man, threatening a large magical sphere, demands that the militia hand over the powerful scale. Otherwise, everyone present here will die. Immediately, to be convincing, the guy launches his weapon directly at the people on board. The magical forces defending themselves are not enough to repel such powerful weapons. A powerful explosion is heard on the deck of the magical ship. The ship survived, but how long this will last is unknown. Suddenly, a huge cat appears at the Institute of Magic Mechanics. His name is Eileen. He is a familiar, a magical creature companion to his human master. His owner Luo Xian appears with her familiar. The girl is the owner of the most powerful of scales. The attacking cultivators look scared. Eileen alone has enough strength to tear all the young people to pieces. Not to mention his mistress. But the people protecting the ship are immensely happy about the appearance of such a guest. Now the guys have a chance to survive and defend the Magical Institute. The huge animal licks its paws in anticipation of an entertaining battle. These little people are not capable of harming a cat. The next moment, a strange dome appears over the magical creature, capable of containing the power of the master Eileen. The owner of the furry animal creates an impenetrable barrier. A young girl uses magic to protect her animal. The beautiful lady admits that the creature is not just a familiar, but a scale of immortality remade by her own hands. Eileen realizes what his mistress said. The sign of a meteorite fragment appears on the head of the magical entity. The animal is not going to hide behind the dome. Just 100 cultivators. They don't deserve even a fraction of the cat's attention. Suddenly the leader of the attackers appears in the sky. A young man with white hair and red eyes calmly watches what is happening. The young guy extends his hand. A sign of a meteorite particle appears in the leader's palm, from which dark rays diverge in different directions. These rays are concentrated and gathered into a giant hand, which is brought down onto Luo Xian's protective sphere with great force. A young girl falls exhausted onto the deck of a ship. It looks like this cultivator is superior in strength to the lady. Eileen is angry. The creature wants to help its owner, but is unable to overcome the protective barrier. The exhausted beauty explains to the cat that the scale of immortality can only be activated by a person born on the day of pure power. The mistress of the magical animal instructs him to find such a person and teach him the correct use of the energy of the scale of immortality. This person should become the new owner of the familiar. Using her power, the beautiful maiden sends Eileen far beyond the horizon. The surprised cat is unable to do anything. The animal is in an impenetrable dome. Left unprotected, Lady Luo Xian makes her final stand against a large number of cultivators. Sometime later on Earth, a small object falls from the sky into a park near the city. Its speed is such that the explosion from the collision can be heard quite far away. This was nailed to the ground by our cat Eileen. The former familiar is trying to comprehend what happened. The animal had an owner, but now she is gone. And his soul is a converted meteorite scale. The magical creature wondered what to do now. The former madam gave clear instructions. But, on the other hand, the furry master is now free and can do whatever he wants. Understanding his new position delights the cat. What does he care about heavenly battles? There are no more masters and no one needs to obey. The first step is to get some food. Eileen goes to the nearest city to meet his new life. Meanwhile, in the city itself, on Hualien Street, where antique shops are located, there is a brisk trade. Two strangers walking down the street in different directions run into each other. The man stops the guy and asks if the young man was born on the day of pure power. The bearded man looks like another fortune teller, of which there are many in this part of the city. A strange passerby somehow knows that the guy is often sick. And in general, a quick death awaits him, unless our hero encounters some miracle. The young man is angry. He has been working on this street for a long time and knows all the local charlatans. But this is the first time he sees this. The young boy still wonders how the unknown man knows when he was born. And I guessed about illnesses too. Cheng Xuan has had a congenital heart defect since childhood. The young man can live a normal life only with medication. After graduating from the medical academy, the guy had to quit due to the heavy workload. Even medications could not cope with the disease. So our hero ended up in an antique shop called the Treasure Hall. The boss is not very interested in the affairs of the store as long as there is a profit. So all the worries are on the shoulders of the young man. A young man inspects the exhibit from his shop. Today there was good income and the guy is very happy. Strictly speaking, quiet work and relative freedom of action are the main reasons for choosing a profession. Our hero hears a noise behind him. Apparently someone came to the store. You can view the exhibits later. This is Xiaoman. The young beauty herself prepared lunch especially for the young seller of the treasure hall shop. Cheng Xuan happily looks at the food he brought. It looks very appetizing and rich. The young lady did a good job to please her friend. The girl is glad that the young man liked her presentation. The beauty is grateful that the young man took her as his assistant. Now Mrs. Man will be able to pay for the treatment of her sick brother. A guy teases his colleague. Our hero pretends that he has never eaten Japanese cuisine and does not know how to use chopsticks correctly. The young beauty is a little embarrassed. But she can't help but help her friend and boss. Apparently will have to feed the young man. As a result, Xiaoman happily takes the chopsticks and begins to feed from the hands of the antiques shop manager. It looks like the guy himself is not happy that he offered to feed from his hands. But there's nothing to be done. Now you have to eat using the hands of a young girl. Our hero eats food with great pleasure. After all, he was hungry. In addition, it is clear that there is a sincere feeling between the young people. Mr. Xuan again makes the girl embarrassed by saying that she smells very nice. Young Man turns away, because she came so close to the young man. While doing her job, the beauty, as usual, gossips and talks about herself. Today, the assistant shares a scary story she heard about what happens on the streets after sunset. Cheng Xuan mocks his companion again. As if the girl was frightened by ordinary conversations about supernatural events. But the young lady does not calm down. It tells the story of a mysterious demon who kills people and drains their bodies. The police have allegedly already found such dried corpses. Master Xuan thinks about it. Of course, the guy doesn't believe in a demon, but the people killed are very real. The young man hopes that the police will soon find the killers. The young man is in a hurry to take advantage of the situation and offers to take the lady home after work for her safety. Well, you can drink tea there. Xiaoman is angry. The beauty is tired of indecent tackles. Even though the guys are friends, they are still colleagues and must respect the chain of command. The guy realizes that he has gone too far. Mr. Schwan sheepishly apologizes and assures his colleague that he did not mean to offend her. At this time, an unfamiliar man is standing at the entrance to the store and eavesdropping on the conversation of our friends. The young people notice a strange man at the door and stop the conversation. The guys are surprised. If this is a buyer, then why doesn't the man come into the store? The young man comes out. This is Wudong, the son of the shop owner. A typical representative of the golden youth. A very arrogant playmaker. The girl shyly greets Mr. Deng. It is clear that the young beauty does not like this man, but she is forced to behave meekly. A young guy approaches our hero and offers to go outside to talk. The owner's son behaves very arrogantly. The guys leave the shop. Mrs. Mon is very afraid for her friend and asks the young man to stay in the store. After all, the guys can easily talk inside. There are no visitors now. Cheng Xian calms the girl down. The young people will simply talk without unnecessary witnesses, and the young lady will look after the counter for now. The guys enter a deserted alley. Master Deng raises his fingers to his lips and whistles. Apparently the conversation will not start in a standard way. Strangers appear behind Mr. Schwan with bats in their hands. The young man is very surprised. He doesn't understand what he did to deserve such a greeting. The guy asks the store owner's son what he's up to. After all, any dispute can always be resolved through dialogue. Wudong reminds our hero of how he cares for his assistant. The impudent guy likes this girl and wants to convey this information to the seller. The young man tries to justify himself that their communication with the young beauty is simply a form of courtesy. Xiaoman is grateful for your help in finding employment. No one is going to listen to our hero. Men with bats surround Mr. Schwan and force him to press his back against the wall. Apparently they won't talk. The gang leader attacks the guy with his fist. Although he does not meet the beauty, he already considers her his property. Well, it's always easier to show your strength on someone who is weaker. Our hero manages to dodge a dangerous attack. But he doesn't attack himself. Master Schwan is still naively trying to avoid a fight. At the same time as the leader, another scumbag attacks from the other side. Cowards generally always attack in droves. It will be extremely difficult to dodge such attacks. Therefore, the young man receives a kick in the chest from the leg from a young man with green hair. The blow is pretty sneaky, but that's to be expected. Cheng Xuan falls onto the road and clutches his chest. A sick heart makes itself felt. The guy won't last long like this. Men don't even think about stopping. The leader orders his fighters to finish off the young man. The bandits feel joy from the upcoming massacre. After all, they are not in danger. Our hero finally understands that a fight cannot be avoided and grabs a stick that was lying nearby. If the young man does not protect himself, he may die in this gateway. Suddenly the guy clutches his heart with his hand. The sick body does not even give the young man a chance of salvation. The young master immediately receives a blow to the jaw. The bandits are not going to wait for Cheng Xuan to answer them. The young man falls to the ground and can no longer rise. Punches and kicks fall on him from all sides. Mr. Wudong steps on our hero's head and explains that such a denouement awaits anyone who pesters the young man's girls. The bandits go about their business, leaving the young man lying helpless on the road. The guys look satisfied. But Master Schwan doesn't move at all. The young guy crawls to the wall and holds his heart. It seems that the sick body cannot bear such an attitude, and our hero dies. The young man feels angry that he will have to die like this on the ground in some nook and cranny. At the same time, Mr. Schwan had never even kissed a girl. Not far away, a small cat is watching everything that happens. The animal watches our hero with strange interest. Suddenly the cat turns into a beautiful girl with an unusual mark on her forehead. Apparently Eileen felt sorry for the store manager, and she decided to save the young man. The beauty slowly approaches the dying man. A little more and Mr. Cheng Xuan's vitality will leave. The former cat sits down next to the young man and watches with fear as the guy is holding on literally with his last breath. Master Xuan cannot understand who this charming angel is who sat next to the guy. Or are these already dying hallucinations? Eileen leans over to the antique store manager and hugs the young man tenderly. Our hero still doesn't understand what's happening. The girl gently touches Cheng Xuan's lips with her lips. The young man was taken aback by this situation. This is his first kiss, and the guy almost died. The energy of the scale of immortality comes out of Eileen's mouth. Our hero closes his eyes and begins to enjoy the process. Life forces return to him again. The girl turns away from the young man in fear. A strange force continues the merging of their souls even after the kiss ends. Master Xuan is in great pain. There is too much energy in the scales. If this continues, the young man will completely absorb Eileen's soul. The beautiful girl turns back into a cat. In this case, the creature experiences severe pain, losing part of its soul. All this freed power continues to be implanted into the young man. The immortal soul scale becomes part of Lord Cheng Xuan. The young man sits on the ground, leaning his back against the wall of the building and tries to come to his senses. The guy doesn't understand what just happened. Cheng Xuan remembers being beaten by Wudong and his men. Then there was the most beautiful cutie who for some reason kissed our hero. The young man decides that it was just a dream. In the end, he would vomit if the young man kissed a cat. Mr. Xuan gets up and is about to leave. The only strange thing is how the man survived. He clearly remembers how his weak heart took hold. And then our hero hears the cat's voice. The young man looks in fear at the calm, small and fluffy creature. A talking animal is too much. Cheng Xuan probably got a good knock on the head. The cat begins to get angry and demand her soul back. It is clear that the creature has magical powers. And it all looks very incredible. Eileen jumps on the young master in a desperate attempt to intimidate the young man into doing whatever is necessary to get the soul back. The ferocious creature clings to the hand of the Xuan master and tries to reach our hero's face with its claws. Meanwhile, the guy calmly watches the weak cat's attempts to cause harm. When the animal calms down a little, the young man asks Eileen to explain what is happening here and why the cat can talk. Meanwhile, the furry animal continues to get angry. The cat accuses the guy that Cheng Xuan took not only his vitality, but also part of his soul. The young man thinks. Although he does not believe in demons and magic, perhaps this creature is the same body-withering killer. Eileen at this time realizes the true meaning of Luo Xin's words. Those born on the day of pure power will be able to use the power of the scale of immortality. But apparently the scale can itself establish a connection with the right person. While the guy knows nothing about the meteorite particle, the cat turns everything inside out. Eileen tells the young man that he is honored to meet the great master. Our hero looks surprised. Magical creatures, magical powers, a talking master cat, pieces of the soul. This is all very strange. The cat is happy with the effect produced. This stupid man will do whatever he says. It will be possible to continue living a relatively free life. Cheng Xuan has another new thought. If the cat is a master, then he is a male, not a female. The guy is wildly frightened by the possible prospect of a kiss with a male specimen. Eileen doesn't see anything wrong with this. The main thing is that the master cat should be feared and respected, otherwise the animal will quickly destroy the person. A young man starts vomiting right next to the road. The young man's first magical kiss turned out to be a perverted exchange of saliva with a male. Our hero takes the cat by the scruff of the neck and accuses him of stealing the first magical feeling in the young master's life. For Qing Xuan, who dreamed of a girl for a very long time, this is a real tragedy. The furry creature begins to violently struggle and scratch. The cat warns the guy that he will kill him if Mr. Xuan does not behave prudently. The young man calmly notes that if the master cat could harm him, he would have done it long ago. The animal jumps to the ground and tries to contain its anger. Apparently this man is not as stupid as Eileen thought from the very beginning. The offended Fluffy jumps on the boxes that stand nearby. Kitty does not want to negotiate, allowing the young man to look down on him. The conversation reaches a dead end. The cat tells the man that he should be grateful for the last kiss before death. And the young man accuses Eileen of stealing his first kiss in his life. A fight breaks out. Neither wants to give in to the other. Both are gnawed by resentment. Apparently the guys just need to let off some steam. A pretty girl approaches a small mess and calls out to our hero. It's a little strange what the beauty is doing in the alley at this time. The fight stops for a while. Perplexed men look at the young maiden and do not understand what she wants from them. The girl admits that she did not expect to meet such a handsome man here. She offers help and her company. The cat immediately declares that the appeal is directed to him. Such beauty should belong only to real masters. And Qing Xuan is angry with the animal for such behavior. The young lady bends herself charmingly and continues to repeat that he is handsome and she liked him very much. The truth still does not specify who exactly. Here the girl gently pushes our hero to the ground and sits on top of him. The guy is confused and doesn't know what to do. Eileen is angry, but catches a strange, familiar smell. Somewhere, a furry creature has already heard this aroma. It smells very much like a cultivator. Meanwhile, the girl continues to press. The beauty asks the young man for something that only the young man has. The perplexed Qing Xuan continues to wonder what they want from him. The young lady's face changes dramatically and admits that she needs the strength of our master. And the girl will now take this power for herself. The frightened Mr. Xuan again experiences that strange feeling when death is very close. How many more people will try to kill our hero today? While the cultivator continues to attack the young man accuses the cat of killing people in the city and draining their strength. This means that all the troubles came from the animal. Eileen calmly objects. The furry creature only appeared in the city today and physically could not do anything like that. The beautiful lady confesses that she is the very murderer. And today the girl is going to drink the life force from our hero. The beauty with a sharp movement tears the shirt on the chest of Mr. Xuan. The cultivator is so strong that the guy is unable to do anything about it. The young man wonders why his chest is glowing. Our hero sees a strange symbol on his body. The cat understands that this is a scale and tries to protect it. The animal tells the girl that the guy is his prey and the fluffy one will fight for her. The cultivator recognizes the animal as the legendary chairman of the skyship of the Institute of Magical Mechanics and the familiar of Luoxin. Eileen bristles even more. If the girl knows who is in front of her, then let her let the young man go now. Otherwise, the cat will simply swallow the beauty. The young lady does not pay attention to the anger of the magical creature. The cultivator knows that the institute has turned into ruins, and the scale of immortality has been lost. Master Eileen ponders the woman's words. The news about the ship spread quickly, but the girl did not understand the most important thing. And this is good. In between this conversation, a discouraged young man intervenes. The young man asks what kind of scales we are talking about. And what exactly is going on here? The beauty, seeing that the guy does not understand anything, opens her chest and shows her glowing sign. This is the scale. And it can give a person enormous strength. Cheng Xuan, as if spellbound, reaches out with his hand to his beautiful chest. A piece of meteorite that can quickly increase the power of anyone who possesses it. So this is how the guy was able to survive the fight. And the beauty continues to say that she can feel someone else's scales through her body. And the meteorite fragment in the chest of our hero is that same legendary divine scale. This means that a cultivator will be able to wield this power. The young maiden attacks Mr. Xuan again. Suddenly, the beauty's body is engulfed in a glowing whirlwind of magical energy. The girl begins to transform right before our eyes. The cultivator dramatically and repeatedly increases his strength. A protective suit appears. And in general, a woman's appearance changes. Looking at this, our hero slowly begins to understand what exactly a scale is and how this fragment of a meteorite can add strength to its owner. The young lady fetters the young man with a magic ring. The girl is very happy. She couldn't even imagine that she could obtain the scale of immortality so easily. The beauty opens her mouth and begins the process of drying her body. In other words, it steals the young man's life force and soul. Eileen understands that their souls are now connected with the young man. If the guy dies, the cat himself will disappear. Something needs to be done urgently. The magical creature instantly rushes at the woman. You can't hesitate. A little more and it will be too late to save yourself. The cultivator is not going to be distracted by the cat. The girl grabs the boy by the chest and begins the process of extracting a piece of the meteorite from the body of the exhausted boy. At the same second, Master Eileen receives a strong blow to the chest. Since their souls are connected with the young man, the pain will also be the same for both of them. Suddenly Cheng Xuan remembers that when the cat wanted to suck out his soul, the young man managed to take the animal's powers for himself. Perhaps the same thing will happen with this special one. Our hero tries to suck the girl's strength, but the guy doesn't succeed. The young beauty calmly continues to absorb the energy of Mr. Xuan. The young master can no longer resist. His strength is leaving him. The eyes slowly close. Looks like that charlatan was right this morning. You can't escape fate. The next moment our hero opens his eyes and finds himself in some strange place. The young man is trying to understand what happened. Master Eileen is also located here. The magical creature explains that since their souls are connected, they can be in the same mental space. The cat continues to tell the young man about meteorite fragments. Although the scale is in the guy's body, only a furry animal can activate it. This means that the young man must listen to the cat in everything. Mr. Cheng Xuan recalls that if a scale on a young person's body is hit, the animal also suffers. And this means we shouldn't intimidate our hero. Enraged by the man's impudence, Eileen decides to attack the boy and teach him a lesson in politeness. The young man quite calmly pulls his hand to the side and lightly hits himself with his thumb directly into the fragment of the meteorite. The huge cat stops, experiencing acute pain. You still have to negotiate with the person. One way or another, it's still better than dying. The magical creature, collapsing to the ground without strength, raises a white flag and asks for negotiations. Their souls are still connected. There is nowhere to go. The young man is very interested in why the cat stood up for him when the cultivator was sucking the life force out of the young man. It is unlikely that Eileen would do something without benefit for himself. The cat tries to justify that he helped the guy purely out of selfless motives. It happens sometimes that you feel sorry for the weak. The young man, naturally, does not believe a single word. And he reminds him that he can continue to hit himself on the scales on his chest. The cat has no choice but to tell the truth to Master Xuan. Now their lives and destinies are connected. If a person dies, the cat will die too. Eileen is offended, because he just wanted to be free. Friends come to the conclusion that it is better to help each other. And the magical creature activates the scale of immortality on the young master's chest. Cheng Xuan wakes up from oblivion while a beautiful girl sucks his power. Enormous energy is cultivated on the chest of our hero. A powerful and sharp blow throws the beauty far to the side. The cultivator is horrified and does not understand what just happened. The young man, full of strength, rises to his feet and is ready to show what he is really capable of. The young lady is confused. How did a dying person suddenly get such strength? But draining his power should have been easy for steel. Our hero, confident in his invincibility, calls on the inner magical power of the scale and swings to strike. A guy beats a girl according to all the rules, using not only the given power, but also the weight of his own body. The guy's fist falls neatly between the breasts of the young beauty. But the girl didn't even move. The young man's attack had no effect. Continuing to hold on to the beauty's chest, Cheng Xuan asks the cat why the scale did not give him strength. The animal explains to the stupid man that they only activated the fragment. The body has undergone a transformation, but it takes time to use the force to its full potential. Meanwhile, the satisfied cultivator plucks up her courage again and grabs our hero to finish her job. The girl begins the process of sucking out the life force, but suddenly stumbles upon a strange energy that comes from the young man. The cultivator shouts that the young man has corpse energy. And Mr. Xuan himself is no less discouraged than the young beauty. The young lady steps aside. The corpse energy is so powerful that no cultivator can handle it. The girl also cannot overcome this force. The beauty is overcome by a strange excitement and desire to give everything she has to this young man. Eileen explains to his new owner that although the power of the scale has not yet been activated, it is no longer at rest. The undead are hanging between life and death. So the guy is now a walking dead man. And the inner strength has already become half of the corpse strength. Cheng Xuan slowly approaches the cultivator and takes her hand. The girl is unable to resist and tries to step aside. Having lost all will and energy, the beauty leans against the wall of the house. So this is the secret of the scale of immortality. She makes walking dead people out of living people. Our hero continues to approach the young lady. At the same time, the guy gloats that the cultivator must finish her job and suck the man to the end. The girl fearfully asks the young man not to come near her. The beauty understands that without being able to resist, Mr. Xuan can do whatever he wants to her. Meanwhile, our hero bends over the frightened cultivator, hugs her and offers to finish it anyway. The girl is afraid for good reason. Now her strength can be drained completely. Cheng Xuan leans closer and kisses the beauty who just recently almost killed our hero. Now this is a real kiss with a girl. Despite the fact that she doesn't look happy at all. Master Eileen runs around the kissing couple. In fact, this is a drain on strength, but the cat himself would not mind performing such procedures. Our hero continues to transfer corpse power to the beauty. The girl doesn't even try to resist anymore. The cultivator quickly loses consciousness. The animal explains to the owner that the corpse force invaded the young lady's circulatory system and began to directly contact her soul. The guy now understands why the beauty dies in the throes of bliss. Mr. Xuan needs to decide what to do with the cultivator. You can't leave her like that. The magical creature has a great idea on how to use the weakened body of the lovely maiden. The cat hugs the big chest and rubs it affectionately. But our hero decides in his own way. Cheng Xuan turns the girl over to the police as a participant in the recent murders. And he even receives a reward for her capture. After some time, the guys return home to the young master. The guy sits on his bed and thinks about what happened to him. The cat is looking at pictures of girls at this time. Our hero asks his familiar whether there are many cultivators in this world. The desire to understand what dangers to expect in the future is quite natural. The furry animal says that there really are a lot of these people. But they all prefer to pretend to be ordinary and not openly use their capabilities for safety reasons. Eileen continues the story, introducing the young man to the events that took place 20 years ago. And about the meteorite, and about the scales. About the struggle of cultivators for the possession of power, which is bestowed by fragments of a celestial meteorite. How did the divine scale appear, capable of giving anyone special powers? This queen of all scales is the strongest known. She can make the master Xuan restless and bring his soul to the borders of immortality. The magical creature also talks about its former owner Luoxin, who reworked and strengthened these scales. She gave her life to protect her creation from the hands of the cultivators. This is not the first time the young master has heard the name of the former owner of Eileen. Our hero wonders who this woman was. The cat says that Mrs. Xin fed and cleaned up after the furry creature. The girl also founded the Institute of Magic Mechanics. And she gave her life for a scale of immortality. The animal insists that the new owner needs to train hard and improve his skills. After all cultivators need his meteorite fragment and they will soon come for it. The young man becomes interested. If he is now half dead, then he may no longer be able to be a full-fledged man. And then it makes sense to get rid of this scale yourself. Eileen says that by unlocking the full power of the meteorite, the guy will become the king of the undead. And he will have no equal in strength. And, despite this, the young man's organs will function normally. The cat is thinking. He himself recently learned that he is a scale, and does not know how to open all the capabilities of the heavenly stone. Suddenly the energy image of Luoxin appears. The girl looks alive and happy. But the beauty seems to exist in the fog. Our hero is surprised by the sudden appearance of the dead owner of the stone. Mr. Xuan didn't expect that the creator of the Magic Mechanics Institute was so beautiful. The cat is also immensely happy. Luoxin is alive and all their problems will now be solved. The animal will not have to die because of the helplessness of the young man. The projection of the girl tells our hero about the enormous power of the scale. It contains the secret of the birth and death of this world. Therefore, the lady created a system for improving skills. The young man will need to complete tasks and, as he completes them, discover new possibilities in himself. This approach will avoid personality destruction. Master Eileen must help the young master choose the fastest path to complete the task. In return, the cat will be able to replenish its strength and energy. Mistress Luoxin continues to share the benefits and responsibilities of possessing the scale of immortality. The girl warns that our hero becomes the key to saving the world. The young man grabs the cat by the scruff of the neck. It turns out that this magical creature is just a helper, not a master. Eileen is angry, but can't do anything. The guy found out the whole truth. Meanwhile, the creator of the Institute of Magic Mechanics is trying to warn the young man about the danger that awaits him in the future. But the message is interrupted by words about a heavenly raid. Mr. Xuan looks dumbfounded at the place where the beautiful maiden was just now. What a heavenly raid and what to expect from the future. Will our hero cope with such responsibility? Suddenly, a bright light appears from the forehead of the furry animal and letters and words written with pure energy condense in the air. This is probably the first task of our friends. The inscription reads, "The first task of the undead is to find yourself a blood slave." The young man does not understand what this means and what he needs to do. The cat is no less discouraged than his owner. Eileen has magical inscriptions appearing on her forehead. It seems he has already received instructions for the first task. The animal explains that the blood slave is a faithful servant of the undead, one of those whom he completely controls. You need to bite someone, taste the blood and leave your mark on the body. The guy is stunned. biting and drinking human blood. The young man cannot imagine what could not be more pleasant. Our hero is thinking. There is one more aspect. What happens to the person who is bitten? Kitty says that the blood slave will also become numb. But the mind will remain completely. The young man still doubts the ethics of this issue. Turning a person into a walking corpse is a so task. Maybe it's worth giving up after all. Master Eileen patiently explains to the man that the victim will remain alive. Only in everything will he obey his master. If, for example, you bite a girl, then you can do whatever you want with her. And if you refuse to improve, then the corpse energy will absorb the owner's mind and turn him into a mindless walking dead. This energy gives enormous power, but it must be controlled. Our hero looks at his assistant in fear. Can a guy really turn into a stupid walking corpse? The prospect is so. The furry animal continues the story, explaining how everything works. Cultivators absorb souls to maintain strength. And those who are not deceased accumulate corpse energy. Cheng Xuan wonders how this energy is connected to the slave's blood. Is it really necessary to enslave someone for self-control? It turns out that by absorbing someone else's energy, the master gradually stabilizes the corpse's energy and lays the foundation for the transition to a new level of improvement. Luoxin has foreseen everything and prepared the way for our hero. The young man is still in doubt. On the one hand there is death, on the other there is the enslavement of other people. And also this strange celestial attack and the end of the world. The guy goes out onto the balcony to get some fresh air and clear his head. Too much information for one evening. Suddenly the young man realizes that he hears all the sounds coming from the streets. Moreover, the young man can localize them. Mr. Xuan is surprised. Vision has also improved. The guy can hear every person and see his face many kilometers away. Our hero hears someone calling for help from the 10th floor of a nearby building. It's strange, the cat said that he needed to improve his capabilities, but now the young man is showing improved skills. If the guy has already become stronger, you need to test new possibilities in practice. Our hero jumps over the balcony railing and intends to help the unknown. Seeing this, Eileen instantly jumps to his owner. You can't waste time on nonsense. You need to complete the task of Mrs. Sheen. The terrified cat claws at Master Xuan as the young man runs the distance along the side of the building at wild speed. Having reached the desired window, the young hero notices an undressed beauty, covering herself with only a towel. Is it possible that a girl is being robbed while she is in the shower? Master Cheng Xuan and his assistant anxiously stick to the glass separating them from the lovely creature. Guys will always be guys. The cat is watching the girl carnivorously. Okay, the issue with the blood slave has already been resolved. But the young man, without taking his eyes off the window, says that he will not use the beauty like that. Especially. Our hero remembers how one day this young lady helped Cheng Xuan. She called an ambulance when the guy felt bad with his heart. They continue to bang on the door of the young beauty's apartment. A rude voice demands to repay the girl's father's debt and open the door. The frightened beauty asks to wait until tomorrow. The two men on the threshold begin to lose their temper. Perhaps the debt can be transferred, but the beauty still needs to open up and negotiate it. While all this is happening, Mr. Xuan and his furry assistant quietly open the window and slip into the apartment. This looks like a great opportunity to test out new skills. The young man sneaks up behind the girl. The tear-stained and frightened beauty is in such a state that she is about to break down. The young lady hears a rustling behind her and turns around sharply. The young maiden begins to scream heartrendingly. It seems to her that the bandits have already entered the apartment and will now do something bad to her. Our hero grabs his friend's hand so she doesn't fall and tries to explain that he came to help her. A little more and the beauty will faint. Cheng Xuan takes the lady in his arms and reminds her that he is a neighbor with a heart condition whom the girl once helped. Two robbers kick down the door and get inside the apartment. The small and bald scoundrel understands why the door was not opened for them. It looks like the owner of the apartment is already having fun with someone here. The young man calmly stands in front of the beauty. The young man will not allow the frightened girl to be offended. Master Xuan is determined. The young defender of the weak suggests that the two bandits get out of here while they are safe and sound. The robbers look somewhat surprised. They definitely did not expect such a reception. The magical creature adds a few words of his own. The cat shouts to the guy not to waste his time, to quickly deal with these fools and take care of the beauty. The long hairy robber comes to his senses and begins to threaten our guy. Either Cheng Xuan will step aside and allow the scoundrel to frolic with the young lady, or the young man will be stabbed with a knife. The bandit confirms his words with action, grabs a knife and rushes at our hero. It seems to the impudent man that one formidable weapon will be enough to frighten the young man. The young owner of the scale of immortality calmly intercepts the blade with one hand, and raises his fist with the other to counterstrike. A powerful side kick to the jaw and the eyes of the self-confident robber pop out of their sockets. It can be seen that the tall man clearly did not expect serious resistance. While our hero was dealing with one scoundrel, the second grabbed his blade and, while jumping, hit the young man right on the head with a sharp blade. The next moment the bald bandit is scared as if he had seen a ghost. And the young man simply turns around, feeling a slight push in the back of his head. The owner of the apartment cannot stand what she sees and faints. Cheng Xuan is perplexed as to what scared the beauty so much. After all, the young man copes and can protect her. The young master is perplexed. The reaction of the girl and the little bald robber is very strange. This is not fear, but surprise and fear. Eileen takes the opportunity and jumps on the young beauty. The chance to bask in the young breasts of a cat is very seductive. And as if by chance, the animal notices that Xuan has a knife in the back of his head. Our hero is stunned by what was said. A long and sharp blade pierced the young man's head and stuck there. The young man takes out the knife and rejoices at his new opportunities. Now you can't even cut the guy. It's amazing how much stronger the guy is now than the average person. After some time, the bandits find themselves behind bars at the police station. The young man handed over the scoundrels to law enforcement agencies for a reward. Mr. Xuan walks down the street and, pleased with the result, counts the commission he received for the robbers. If you take this matter seriously, you can easily get rich. Returning home, the young man finally makes it to his bed. So many events in such a short time. The guy is very tired and needs rest. Blood slave and everything else can wait until tomorrow. The next morning, our hero returns to his antique shop. It's hard to imagine, but only one day has passed since he left here. Xiaoman looks at his friend in surprise. The young girl was very worried about the young man and was already afraid that something bad had happened. A young man reassures his girlfriend. After all, he promised when he left that everything would be fine. Besides, the guys didn't have time to have lunch. The beauty blushed and became embarrassed. Mr. Eileen's assistant saw a beautiful young lady, like a worried animal, jumping on the chest of Xiaoman. The embarrassed girl clearly did not expect this. The beauty doesn't understand what's happening. Mrs. Man clearly feels that there is something on her chest. But no one is visible there. The magical essence cannot be seen by every person. Master Man extends his hand forward to throw the anxious cat off his friend. The young man slowly begins to get tired of the animal's painful desire to be closer to the woman's breast. The young man reaches for the breasts of the young beauty and throws off the annoying assistant. But he immediately realizes how his gesture is seen from the outside. Xia Omn was even stunned by such unceremoniousness. Taking his palm back, our hero turned red and began to apologize inappropriately. What he wanted was not at all what the girl thought. Just how to explain it? A man is watching this whole scene outside the store door. The visitor wanted to come in, but something stopped the man and forced him to lean against the entrance doors. This is Wudong, and in surprise the impudent young man even drops his cigarette from his open mouth. The shop owner's son never expected to see Cheng Xuan here. Especially pestering his girlfriend. Mr. Deng is angry that the young man had the nerve to go to work today. The man directly asks if yesterday's conversation with the young man was not enough. The young man calmly retorts that the shop owner's son only said half of it yesterday, and then left without finishing. And in general, such behavior is a sign of disrespect. A young girl relieves the tension. The young lady wedges herself between the two guys and joyfully begins to chirp some nonsense. Wudong abruptly interrupts the beauty. Firstly, the man saw what young people were doing in the workplace. Secondly, a person like Deng has nothing to talk about with all the rabble. Master Xuan maintains his dignity and calmly watches the guest. And the girl is trying to justify herself. Allegedly, what the gentleman saw was not at all what he thought. The angry son of the owner of the outlet backhands the young lady, covering her mouth. No one is allowed to insult or silence Wudong. The man is tired of wasting his time making advances on the girl. Mr. Deng directly asks his employee how much money he needs to give so that she can sleep with the owner. Our hero stands in front of the embittered man and his girlfriend. Yes, Wudong is the boss here, but no one is allowed to treat the weaker sex like that. The cat, sitting on the shoulder of his ally, is also not very pleased with the man's behavior. Apparently someone will now have to die for disrespecting girls. Having pulled himself together, Master Deng warns Xia Omn that he only needs one phone call, and the young beauty's brother will not be allowed into any hospital in the city. Moreover, the girl was fired and will not receive another penny from this store. To say that Mrs. Man is dumbfounded is an understatement. Without his sister's money, the boy will die. Cheng Xuan interrupts the shopkeeper's son's pompous speech and throws a wad of money on the table. The young man's girlfriend will not have to humiliate herself for the sake of money. The beauty takes the bills in her hands and cannot believe her luck. Where could the young man get such a large sum? And this is just in one evening. The guy says that he has been collecting the required amount for a long time. And he gladly gives the money to his friend so that she can help her brother and not follow the lead of the scoundrel Deng. The man cannot bear the last insult and throws his fists at the weak manager of the outlet. Now the self-confident seller will receive a good lesson in politeness. The shop owner's son studied kung fu and hits his opponent, according to all the rules, straight in the chest. Using the full weight of his body and resting his feet on the floor, the master can even kill. The young man calmly watches his opponent's attempts and does not seem to notice at all that he is being beaten. There is a slight smile on Mr. Xuan's face. It's high time to teach an arrogant man a lesson. The wooden fist meets such resistance as if it were not a person's chest, but an iron wall. The bones instantly break, without causing any harm to our hero's body. The offended man cannot understand what happened. Just yesterday this guy was lying at his feet and dying. And today the young man's body is like hardened steel. The girl rushes into the arms of her friend. The beauty was scared for her friend and wants to make sure that everything is okay with him. Mr. Xuan, pleased with himself, asks not to worry about him. Our hero's assistant Eileen is also very pleased. Kitty had no idea that the young man would begin to progress so quickly. As he leaves, the man promises the young man that the store owner will soon fire Mr. Xuan. And brother Xia Omn will soon be kicked out of the hospital and will not be treated anywhere else. Cheng Xuan looks after Wudong. It seems the young man has found himself a blood slave. Tonight the offended man will kneel and ask for forgiveness. In the evening, dressed in a suit, together with his animal, the young master came to the Black Horse brothel. While the young man was being beaten, he heard that Mr. Deng was planning to spend the night here today. The cat is angry. The elite establishment is well guarded. The magical creature does not understand why such difficulties exist. You can find any blood slave much easier. Our hero insists on his own. The guy will get exactly this person. And the new abilities of corpse energy will help him achieve his goal. Approaching the metal fence that surrounds the brothel, the friends notice a sign stating that the perimeter is under high voltage. Master Xuan completely calmly ignores the electricity and jumps over the fence. The cat fearfully clings to its owner's shoulder. Hiding in the nearby bushes, our hero notices a guard running up to the place of his foray. Most likely there are some other sensors here. While the man is distracted, our friends can sneak into the house. The animal rejoices for its master. After all, the young man is already using his capabilities to the fullest. But he just received them. This is a good sign. Having entered the building, the young man pretends to be a regular customer, takes a glass of champagne and slowly looks around. This establishment hosts both officials and bandits. You need to be careful. A concerned fluffy ball, seeing such an abundance of beautiful women, immediately pounces on the cuties, jumping from one breast to another. This may attract unnecessary attention to the heroes. Cheng Xuan takes the assistant and goes out into the yard. There is a room on the second floor reserved for Wudong. This is where the guys need to go. The young man deftly climbs up the building straight to the second floor balcony. Corpse energy not only improves the hero's capabilities, but also strengthens the body. The young man opens the window and quietly makes his way into the desired room. A man sleeps quietly in bed. If you do everything quietly and without attracting attention, the task will be very simple. Suddenly, the maid's loud voice is heard outside the door. The maid offers the owner of the room cleaning. Our hero understands that he cannot hesitate. If a man wakes up, problems may begin. Master Xuan hastily throws back the cover and bites the victim's neck. Corpse poison instantly enters the blood of a sleeping person. The young man is unable to tear himself away. Corpse forces are already pouring into the victim. But when he opens his eyes, the guy is surprised to see a tied-up girl in front of him. The young man is very surprised. How did this beauty end up here? The guy is still trying to stop the bite and its effect on the victim. Despite the fact that our hero tore his teeth from the tender neck, the process of transformation has already begun. The young lady writhes in pain as her body transforms. Cheng Xuan unties the delicate creature and removes the tape from her mouth. The exhausted girl falls into the arms of the young master. Our hero places the beautiful maiden on the bed. The guy doesn't understand why he bit the wrong person. After all, the plan was perfect. It is clear that the young man is very embarrassed by his action. An excited cat jumps closer to the beauty. Eileen, on the contrary, is very glad that his master took such a beautiful person as his slave. You can force her to do whatever you want. Mr. Xuan did not want this at all. The guy would be happy to correct this awkward situation. But he doesn't know how. Meanwhile, the young maiden woke up and clung to the young man with a loving gaze, calling him her master. However, what a quick effect does corpse energy have? The furry creature explains that before the transformation takes place, the girl will have an irresistible desire for her master. She is now completely out of her mind and doesn't understand what she's doing. The beauty continues her onslaught, hanging herself on the neck of Master Xuan. The young man orders the slave to stop this debauchery. The next second, the young lady kneels in front of our hero and says, "I obey, master." This is the absolute control of the undead over the blood slave. The guy thinks about the exciting effect. Maybe it's good that Mr. Schwan didn't bite the shop owner's son. It would be much worse now. Meanwhile, our hero examines the young body of his new slave. She is very pretty. It will be difficult to resist such a strong temptation. The guy was embarrassed by his own thoughts. Cheng Xuan hopes that after a complete transformation, the beauty will be able to retain her mind despite losing her will. The girl quickly comes to her senses and tries to understand where she is and what happened. The transformation happened surprisingly quickly. Eileen says that the shorter the transformation process, the better the body accepts corpse energy. This means that a person has more natural abilities to become a slave. The beauty gets hot. It seems the stimulating effect is not over yet, although reason and awareness of what is happening have returned. And the young lady is also annoyed by the cat's voice. Our hero's assistant is inspired. If a young maiden sees a magical animal, then the transformation process is almost over. There is no doubt that the owner chose a classy slave. A girl attacks a young man with a talking cat. The beauty tries to intimidate the young man, thinking that it was he who kidnapped her. The young man introduces himself. He says his name is Cheng Xuan and the guy is definitely not a bad person. So the beauty has nothing to fear. The guy notes to himself that the girl is not the timid one. The young lady declares that she is not the least bit afraid and asks a reasonable question. If Mr. Xuan is not a bad person, then what is he doing here? Our hero explains that he was looking for Wudong here. And the beauty notes to herself how strange she feels. When a girl looks at a young man, her heart is ready to jump out of her chest. The young maiden remembers how Mr. Deng's men kidnapped her from the street and brought her here so that their master could have fun. Cutie realized that our hero had nothing to do with it. Master Xuan thought about the words of the newly made slave. It is clear why it was not the son of the owner of the antique shop that was in bed, but this charming creature. The young slave still does not believe the words of this master. Suddenly the guy is one of Wudong's henchmen. But a strange feeling inside her body makes the girl think that the young man did something to her. Our hero sheepishly tries to explain that it was an accident. The young man did not want to do anything bad to the beauty, but the circumstances developed in a strange way. The blood slave attacks her new master. The baby is not interested in accidents or excuses. If they don't let her out now, the guy will be in big trouble. Master Deng appears at the door. The man looks at the couple in surprise and does not understand how this Xuan trash once again managed to get in his way. Our hero mechanically orders the girl to stand behind him. The young man is ready for the meeting and will be able to protect the young cutie. The beauty opened her mouth in surprise, but did not have time to say anything. The next second, the slave kneels in front of the owner and says, "I obey, master." The baby herself cannot understand why her body does not obey its owner. The owner of the room was stunned that some salesman was taking his women, and even playing master and slave with them. Today, Master Deng will definitely put an end to the young man's antics. Eileen warns the owner about a strange smell coming from the man. The strong taste of blood suggests that everything is definitely not simple. The embittered son of the store owner throws his fists at our hero. It is possible that this time Wudong drew conclusions and prepared for the fight. The man in the white suit throws a straight punch with all his might, aiming for the young man's aching heart. Mr. Xuan puts a block, protecting the weak organ from a dangerous move. The next second, the owner of the room aims his roundhouse kick at our hero's chest. The guy manages to dodge, although the young man's fighting skills are much inferior to the trained Deng master. A cunning and experienced fighter does not give the young man a pause to change position. He immediately throws a side dive into the chest. Our hero doesn't have time to dodge. This time Mr. Deng is determined to finish what he started. The man knows very well about the poor health of the store manager, and today he will definitely teach the impudent young man a lesson. Nevertheless, despite all the ostentatious confidence, the man in the white suit is very surprised by the young man's capabilities. Could it be that the sick young man had learned hard qigong? Our hero realizes that a man cannot harm him. However, the shop owner's son knows kung fu. This means that the young man himself will not be able to do anything to a trained master. Eileen notices how the seal of immortality has almost formed on the girl's neck. A little more and the first task of Luoxin will be completed. Our hero turns around slightly. This is definitely good news. When the brand is ready, the beauty will completely turn into the slave of the new master. The cat continues to talk. Once the transformation into a blood slave is completely formed, the rewards for the creator of the Celestial Institute of Magic Mechanics will open. Cheng Xuan is pleased with the good news. It's time to upgrade your fighting skills. Otherwise, this fight risks dragging on for a very long time. The shop owner's son is not going to give time to the young man. The man grabs a heavy table and throws it at our hero. At this moment, the furry assistant jumps up to its owner and activates the owner's new skills of the scale of immortality. The girl became a blood slave. The first task is completely completed. The young man instantly upgrades. Corpse energy is localized in a concentrated beam in the fingers of the Xuan master. I wonder what this power can do. The new owner of the heavenly stone puts his fingers forward and meets furniture flying in his direction. At the point of contact, concentrated energy breaks a heavy object into pieces. At the same time, without causing absolutely any harm to our hero. Wu Deng is shocked. Where does a weak, sick young man get such strength? Even the trained body of a fighter could not react like that. Our hero enjoys a surge of new strength. Mrs. Luoxin came up with an excellent system for improving skills through rewards for completing tasks. The shop owner's son is seriously angry. The man was not used to such insolence and simply lost patience. Now Master Deng will do everything to punish the impudent offender. Cheng Xuan reacts calmly to his opponent's reaction. The young man is confident in his abilities and even wonders how far his new skills will take him. Our hero rushes to attack, using corpse energy concentrated in just 2 fingers. In response, the man in the white suit also attacks his opponent. Without magical powers, Mr. Deng relies only on experience and anger. The young man uses the same technique against a formidable opponent. Wu Deng's fist meets our hero's fingers, which gather the power of corpse energy. The hand of a man in a white suit is in terrible pain. A strange force is entwined in rings around the hand. This is not at all what the store owner's son expected. This technique is dangerous. Mr. Deng's hand is numb and does not obey. A sharp pain, like the tip of a blade, pierces the man's right limb. As a reward for being a blood slave, the young man also received knowledge about thousands of human acupuncture points. The guy decides to make the most of these powers. Our hero delivers many quick and accurate strikes to particularly painful points on Wu Deng's body. The man in the white suit doesn't even have time to react. The young slave is very surprised. The young man has enormous strength. This is unusual for a completely ordinary city. But the cat is very happy. Perhaps it is worth letting Master Xuan be the owner of the animal for the safety of the scale of immortality. The guy's sense of combat is impressive. The son of the owner of an antique shop cannot understand how a terminally ill person can fight like that. Was the young man really pretending all this time and hiding his true capabilities? Cheng Xuan doesn't care what this person thinks about his abilities. The young man mocks the man, asking him to kneel down and apologize for his bad behavior. Then our hero will forgive the insolent person. Wu Deng is not the kind of person who gives in easily and allows himself to be pushed around. The guy takes a small red pill out of his pocket and smiles predatorily. The magical creature understands where such an unpleasant smell came from. Cultivators have such pills. Having accepted it, the man can roll the young man into a ball and play basketball with him. Mr. Deng feels a great sense of unprecedented opportunity. No wonder the man in the white suit spent a lot of money to get this drug. Eileen warns the owner that by eating this pill, the man has ignited his vital forces and caused them to erupt. Now Wudong is as powerful as a high-level cultivator. An angry and pumped-up man in a white suit rushes at our hero in a desperate attempt to finally put an end to the annoying young man. The young man manages to dodge the dangerous attack. Master Deng's fist hits the wall next to the guy's head. The concrete slab crumbles on impact like a soft cookie. Using the right moment, Cheng Xuan tries to hit the opponent in the gut. But such a movement does not have any effect on the man. Then the young owner of the Scale of Immortality decides to hit the Tanjuan point. There is a plexus of arteries there. This should cause paralysis of the body. Wudong does not react at all to exposure to the danger zone of its body. The man in the white suit only scoffs at the young man's pathetic attempts to harm him. The cat shouts that it will not be possible to defeat a dangerous opponent with simple initial techniques. We need to come up with something else. And the beauty realizes that if the guy doesn't win, she won't be able to escape from here. Meanwhile, the shop owner's son, with greatly enhanced combat abilities, continues to attack our hero. The young man decides to concentrate all the strength of his body in one single place. Perhaps this energy will be enough to finally defeat the opponent. Young Master Xuan's fingers meet the fist of martial artist Wudong. Both people are equal in strength to each other. At the moment of impact, a shock wave of such force arises that both the magical animal and even the young slave are scattered in blood. Our hero understands that the strength of young people is not inferior to each other. If you don't come up with something urgently, then you don't know how this fight will end. The owner of the room in this brothel, on the contrary, admires his new opportunities. It looks like no one can stop the man with this pill. Confident of his superiority, Wudong rushes at his opponent, wanting to finally deal with the annoying upstart from his father's store. The young man calmly dodges the angry man's blows. At the same time, still having time to apply acupressure effects to acupuncture points. Mr. Deng does not stop in his attempts to hurt our hero. The young man continues to dodge, not noticing that his influence on the man does not bring any benefit. Another dive, and the guy again makes a targeted attack on the back of a dangerous enemy. Even the might of corpse energy is unable to penetrate the defense of a cultivator pill. Eileen can't stand it and scolds the owner for his pathetic attempts to influence the situation. Doesn't Cheng Xuan see that his efforts are going nowhere? The next moment, Master Deng stops and grabs his stomach with both hands. It looks like the man suddenly became ill. Falling to his knees, the son of the owner of the antique shop vomits everything that was in him at that moment from his stomach, including the cultivator's magic pill. Our hero, pleased with himself, calmly notes that brute strength will always yield to a sharp mind. Instead of breaking through the defense, the young man caused a gag reflex in his opponent. The beautiful maiden is sincerely happy for her new owner. If Mr. Deng had won, the girl would have had a hard time. The man in the white suit, feeling a sharp pain all over his body, is still trying to get up and defeat his enemy. Of course, don't take away from the young man's will. Suddenly, Wudong's legs give way and the guy falls to the floor. There is a strong fever and dizziness, which the man in the white suit cannot cope with. Our hero calmly notes that he may have overestimated the enemy's strength and put too much pressure on special points. The furry creature notices that the young man crushed the enemy quite strongly. It is unlikely that the man will be able to rise in the near future. The young man mocks his assistant a little. Did Eileen really admit that his master could lose to such a stupid person as Wudong? At this moment, the door of the room swings open and the security guards of the establishment run inside. The soldiers came running at the loud noise in the room and ordered everyone to surrender immediately. Our hero, confident in his abilities, stands in front of the girl and prepares to show the people who have entered who is the real master here and who should surrender. Just a few moments and the crowd of men scatters in different directions. The guy clearly enjoys his new capabilities and uses them to their full potential. Having finished with the guard, the young man hugs his new slave around the waist. The beauty is surprised by the strength of this man. Okay, Wudong, but scattering a crowd of experienced warriors in a few seconds is very unusual. Cheng Xuan doesn't have time to explain to the girl for a long time that she needs to leave. Soon all the security of the establishment will be here. The guy throws the beauty on his shoulder and calmly leaves the building. The young man also takes the defeated enemy with him. There is one more thing that our hero has not finished. And he still needs a man in a white suit. After leaving the building, our hero took Wudong's car, tied up the man and threw him into the back seat of the car. The girl sitting next to the young man is a little embarrassed. On the one hand, the beauty is grateful for the rescue, on the other hand, she doesn't understand what she's doing here. The young man explains to the cutie that he was going to the establishment to get even with Wudong. The guy never expected to see the young mistress in the bed of an arrogant man. The young woman especially notices that the son of the owner of the antique shop will take revenge. And this whole idea can be very dangerous. Is Master Xuan really not afraid at all? Our hero only mocks in response. It seems that only the young beauty is really afraid here. This of course makes the girl angry. She was not used to this kind of treatment. The young lady says that the man in the white suit kidnapped her in vain. The Xia family will not forgive such an insult and will get even with Mr. Wudong. Our hero thinks about her words. The largest financial group in this city is controlled by a clan called Xia. The girl admits that her name is Xia Yi, and her father is the president of the Xia Shang Corporation. The young man is slightly perplexed. How could the daughter of such a prominent person in the city be kidnapped by some Wudong? Is that possible? Mrs. E explains that father is out of town right now. Otherwise, the son of the antique shop would not have succeeded. The beauty offers our hero a reward for saving him. The young man only laughs in response. As soon as the guy wants, the young lady will fulfill his every desire. After all, Cheng Xuan is now her master. Xia Yi immediately takes a submissive position and is ready to listen to the orders of her master. The blood slave's magic keeps her within the narrow confines of unconditional submission. At the same time, the young maiden understands perfectly well that she is doing something wrong. But I am unable to resist this impulse. A very strange feeling. And then there is this cat, speaking in human language that the beauty is a slave of blood. Mrs. E is trying to comprehend what is happening. Maybe it's all hallucinations. Our hero notes an interesting pattern. Even after seeing a talking cat, the girl remains relatively calm. Looks like this Xia Yi is not as simple as it seems. And the young slave is still getting used to the idea that she will have to obey the young man in everything he orders. It's very scary not being able to control your body. Cheng Xuan calms down his companion, telling her that he is responsible for the beauty. Along the way, the guy asks his cat if it is possible to return the slave's freedom. Eileen answers, then there is no such possibility. But the young man was also lucky. After all, Master Deng could have a desire for our hero. The cat says that Luoxin taught him about the existence of heavenly will. If a girl is destined to become a slave, then it is better to trust this will. Xia Yi thinks. Since she has no choice, she needs to try to make the best of the situation. Perhaps new opportunities can benefit the family. The young owner wonders how the daughter of the richest man in the city got involved with such scum as Wudong. It turned out that the man's father's antique shop belongs to the Xia family corporation. The girl found discrepancies in the reporting of their store. The man in the white suit wanted to get close to her clan's wealth. The young man says that he will not allow this to happen. In addition, the young master had an interesting idea. But the guy will need the help of his slave. Beauty is alarmed that she may have to fulfill someone else's will. But he tries not to show it and simply asks what the idea is. Cheng Xuan leans closer to his companion and quietly whispers something in her ear. The beauty listens carefully to the young man. It looks like the girl doesn't feel any disgust from the guy's words. Slave Cheng Xuan gets out of the car where she was dropped off. Our hero reminds you of the necessary actions so that everything goes according to plan. Xia Yi happily agrees. The girl will do everything exactly as the guys planned. And she won't have to follow orders. The beauty herself is happy to fulfill such a request. The concerned cat carnivorously watches as the baby moves away. If he were the owner of such a baby, he would never let her go just like that. All that remains is to finish the matter with the tied-up man in the back seat of the car. Wudong has not yet regained consciousness, but it makes sense to hurry. After some time, our hero returns to the store where the guy works. The young man hopes that Xia Oman has not left yet. The beauty sees Cheng Xuan and cannot contain her joy. The girl was very worried whether everything was okay with her friend. But now she sees that the young man looks very good. The young master shows his assistant the booty, in the form of the bound master Wudong. It's time to put an end to the shopkeeper's son's cruel treatment of his employees. After some time, our friends, together with their prisoner, move to the roof of one of the city buildings. Away from human eyes, Mr. Deng is kneeling, almost completely immobilized. The undressed man slowly comes to his senses and tries to remember where he is and what happened. In front of him he sees his enemy, an eternally ill store employee with his assistant. A sudden sharp blow from a magical animal to the most unprotected place quickly sobers up and brings the bound person to his senses. Our hero and Xia Oman stand aside and calmly watch the torment of Mr. Deng. The young man looks very confident, but his companion is a little uneasy. The girl is clearly worried. Wudong starts to get angry. The man shouts threats and curses. An undressed man does not understand where he is and what they are going to do to him. The young beauty also doesn't quite understand what's happening. The young maiden shyly asks the young man what he is going to do with his boss. Cheng Xuan orders the bound man to apologize to Xia Oman for all the insults he has caused and promise not to pester her or her brother in the future. The cat is watching this scene from the side. The animal would not waste its time on this scum and would simply drain his strength. But the owner knows better and Eileen waits patiently. Master Deng laughs at his father's shop manager's demands. A man will never humiliate himself in front of some kind of scum. It's better to let Mr. Xuan kill him. The girl is shocked by the prisoner's words. Indeed, sooner or later he will have to be released, and then the humiliated person will begin to take revenge. The beauty is experiencing real fear. The young man calmly accepts the request of the undressed man and is ready to kill the man for the insults he inflicted on Mrs. Mon. Wudong is a little worried by these words. The guy grabs with one hand one end of the rope to which the impudent man is tied, and throws Mr. Deng over the edge of the roof. Seeing his possible end, the prisoner is seriously scared. What if this sick boy actually has the courage to let go of the rope? Perhaps it makes sense to get out of this situation, and then decide. Xia Oman is very scared. It's one thing to intimidate an impudent person and quite another to actually kill him. The beauty does not want to harm anyone at all. Cheng Xuan confidently repeats his order. Either Mr. Deng will humbly ask for forgiveness or the young man will let go of his fist. In the end, this is precisely why the guy chose such a deserted place. The man begins to squeal like a girl out of fear. There are apologies and promises to never again harm either Mrs. Mon or any of her family members. A young beauty approaches her friend and asks him to let the frightened man go. He realized his mistake and apologized to the girl. It is enough to harm the impudent person. Our hero agrees with his companion. But letting a prisoner go just like that is too easy. Wudong has done enough harm to young people and deserves to be punished. Using corpse energy, the guy delivers a strong and very painful discharge directly into the chest of a frightened person. The next moment the young man lets go of the rope and the gentleman hanging on it. It looks like Master Deng will still have to pay in full for all the evil the man has done. The bound prisoner falls from the edge of the roof. Time stretches for a naked man and is filled with an insane fear of the inevitable end. Beauty Man covers her mouth with her hands in fright. This is a real murder and she witnessed it. Now the death of this man will be on her conscience. After flying a few meters, Mr. Deng falls straight into a rope network stretched under the roof. A soft landing does not cause any harm to the bound man. But the experienced fear of death and adrenaline do their job. The prisoner looks like he's crazy. Foam runs out of his mouth, and his eyes are like two huge glass saucers. A young man reassures his assistant. Nothing bad happened to Wudong. But the man will remember the fear he experienced for a very long time. The girl stands shyly in front of Cheng Xuan. The guy went to such lengths to protect his girlfriend. And also money. The beauty is filled with strong feelings. Xiaoman comes closer and kisses our hero on the lips. The young man is a little discouraged by this turn. He didn't expect such a reaction. But the proximity of this cutie is truly pleasant for the guy. A concerned cat naturally reacts excitedly to the girl's actions. The modest cutie turns out to be quite cheeky. Eileen wants her kiss too. The guy looks at his assistant in amazement. The young man certainly had passionate feelings for the girl, but did not expect that she also felt for him. Mrs. Man asks her friend not to take any more risks for her and not ask for trouble. The beauty is very worried about our hero and cannot stand it if something happens to the guy. Master Xuan calms his companion. Now the young man has enough strength to protect his girlfriend from any trouble. There is no need to be afraid anymore. The young man takes the beauty by the hand and leads her to some cafe for a snack. The owner of the heavenly scales had not eaten anything for a long time. The next morning, Cheng Xuan still managed to persuade the girl to go to work. Xiaoman is afraid that Mr. Deng will come back and do something bad. Our hero is not worried about anything. The guy has enough strength to defend himself. At this time, the cat is watching the assistant's slender legs and drooling with concern. Suddenly the owner enters the store door. The man is very angry and instantly attacks his manager, accusing him of beating his son. Wu Liang tells how his young boyfriend lies distraught with fear in the hospital. Now it is not known when the injured person will be able to recover and come to his senses. The owner blames our hero for everything. Such cruel treatment cannot be justified by any logic. The young man remains calm. The guy understands Mr. Wu's emotions. But the girl is afraid of slander against her. The store owner's son was the first to humiliate and insult her. Of course, the beauty is not pleased that she was the culprit of Wudong's condition. In the next moment, resentment takes precedence over fear. It was the master's son who insulted and humiliated the young maiden. He also threatened the life of her sick brother. Master Xuan was only protecting his assistant. Our hero is completely calm. The guy calms the girl down. It is not yet known who will suffer more today. The young beauty has no reason to worry. Wu Liang loses his temper. Young people will be fired today. Moreover, the owner of the store will do everything necessary to prevent our friends from finding work in this city at all. Cheng Xuan calmly parries Mr. Wu's speech. After all, only the owner has the right to fire. But this fact still needs to be confirmed. Beauty Man looks at the young man in surprise. The man does not understand what this young man is talking about. But out of the corner of his eye he notices that visitors are entering the store. The owner is tense, because the voice of one of the guests is very similar to the voice of Xia Shang's daughter. Xia Yi appears at the door with a large retinue. The girl is determined. And, together with the young man's confidence, this mood does not bode well for the shop owner. The notary reads out an order from the head of the corporation that owns the antique shop. Wu Liang is removed from the position of store manager and Mr. Cheng Xuan is appointed in his place. The guy is very pleased with himself. The new owner of the Treasure Hall store looks straight into the eyes of his former owner. Now everything will be different. The former owner of the shop is angry. The man cannot understand what is happening. Why is this young man who sent his son to the hospital now taking his place? Our hero thanks his slave. The girl appeared just in time. Mrs. E is not very happy that she has to follow orders. Although this issue should have been resolved that way. This was exactly what the owner asked for while still in the car. It seems the young man had planned everything and played his own game. Although we can say that Master Xuan's plan coincided with the plans of the young beauty. Wu Liang is not going to give up so easily. He was appointed to this position by the corporation's chairman. And you can't just fire a man like that. Such a move would have serious consequences. The daughter of the head of this store is sincerely surprised by the man's assumption that her decision is somehow connected with the young man. Mr. Liang, in turn, continues to accuse Ms. E and our friends of collusion. The man doesn't know how yet, but he will be able to defend his position and prove collusion. Beauty tells the former director what kind of things his son did. Most likely, the guy ended up in the hospital due to his behavior. And it's unlikely that the father knew anything about it. The police enter the store and present Wu Liang with an arrest warrant. He is accused of insufficient funds entrusted to him. Xia Yi tells the former employee that he knows his son was acting on his father's orders. The man wanted to interfere with the inspection. But now Mr. Liang will be fully responsible for everything. After everyone has left, our hero introduces his assistant to the daughter of the head of the corporation. The girl is very happy to meet you. The beauty is pleased that the situation with the evil owner has finally been resolved. Young Xia greets the lady who appeared on time and solved all the problems of our friends. Cutie hopes that everything will be fine now. Mrs. E orders the guards and her notary to wait outside. The young housewife still has unfinished business with the new director. The young assistant is delighted with the charisma and beauty of the daughter of the head of the corporation. The girl is very happy to meet such an important person with her friend Mr. Xuan. Our hero tenderly hugs Xia. Now the young beauty will become an assistant director. Her salary will double, and the girl will be able to pay for her brother's treatment. The cutie cannot contain her emotions and falls into the arms of a young man. How well everything worked out for her. Now the beauty will have to work even harder. Master Eileen silently responds to the cunning and extraordinary intelligence of his new master. It looks like the cat was lucky to meet a worthy bearer of the scale of immortality. Mistress E asks the young man for a private conversation. There is a matter that does not tolerate unnecessary ears. It is obvious that the lady is not feeling very well. The young assistant director understands everything perfectly and hurries to leave to do her job. The beauty is sincerely happy for our hero and the opportunities opening up for the young man. The young couple retires to the back room, which previously only had access to the store director. Xia is left to look after the antique shop. Entering the back room, the young girl immediately leans her elbows on the table and begins to writhe in pain. You can see how the beauty has to make an effort to stand on her feet. A magical creature detects a strange accumulation of magical things in this room. It looks like there are a lot of different cultivator items here. It is not clear why Wu Liang collected all this. The beauty says that she has been feeling very bad since the morning. It feels like Xiai's strength is quickly leaving. The girl thinks that this has something to do with our hero. Eileen explains that the new blood slave still has too few corpse powers. And if the owner does not replenish them in time, the cutie's body can completely harden. So that it won't even be possible to move. The young lady does not understand why Mr. Xuan is stalling for time. Let the guy replenish the vitality of his slave right now. The young man feels slightly embarrassed. The fact is that the transfer of energy between people occurs in a specific way. This requires a kiss. Mrs. E is a little shocked. Who knows if the guy is telling the truth or not? The beauty doesn't really want to follow the preoccupied man's lead. Our hero is not going to insist. Kissing is a delicate matter. Consent of both parties is required. And Master Xuan considers it incorrect to force a girl. The cat laughs at people's prejudices. Rigor is not the worst thing. Soon the cutie's body will crack, and she will look like an old witch. It seems the young maiden doesn't have much choice. Xiai feels worse and worse. I'll probably have to agree to a kiss. In the end there is nothing special about it. The young man comes closer to his slave and takes her chin. People's gazes meet. The girl feels a strange thrill and excitement. The young man kisses his companion on the lips. The beauty receives her portion of corpse energy and cannot tear herself away from our hero from pleasure. Suddenly the young maiden breaks away from the pleasant embrace and falls onto the table, as if in great pain. Her whole body went limp. Mrs. E received her share of energy. Eileen is a little surprised by this reaction. Having received so much corpse power, the girl managed to suppress the excitement that surged through her. Blood slaves are usually incapable of displaying such will. Cheng Xuan remembers how the magical being said that the master and blood slave could evolve together, improving their levels at the same time. Usually, in such a state, a young man and a girl would be carried away by each other without memory. But the beauty managed to break away. This is a rare gift. This means you can try to enhance the effect by carrying out double cultivation. The furry animal invites Mrs. E to do it right now. The capabilities of both people will increase greatly. But a deeper merging of souls is needed. The blood slave goes berserk. Kissing losers for survival is one thing. But the cutie is not going to go further. She will do without these fairy tales. Our hero comes closer to his slave. Loser is not the best description for an owner. The guy can just order, and the girl will do everything. Xiai feels excited again. Suddenly a new Luo Xin task appears. Both young men are distracted from their problems. The goal is to upgrade the blood slave to level 2. The slave is trying to get out of the tight embrace of her master. The young man only laughs in response to this. The task will have to be completed. Now the guys are connected with each other. Our hero reads the explanation of the task. The blood slave needs to absorb and accumulate corpse energy to level up. It seems that interaction with the owner will not help here. The girl thinks about these words. What will she have to do to make it easier? Do you really have to kill someone? Cheng Xuan grabs the cat by the scruff of the neck and demands detailed explanations from him. Master Eileen explains that the slave must absorb corpse energy in a place where there is a large concentration of corpses. The young man was greatly shocked by this news. Due to a ridiculous mistake by the owner of the scale of immortality, the poor girl is doomed to be a slave forever. Our hero is thinking. Corpses that have decomposed to the bones do not have corpse energy. We'll have to look for those that still have both meat and blood. The cat warns that increasing the blood slave level must be completed before 12 o'clock at night. Otherwise, the souls of the undead and the slave will be swallowed up by the scales of immortality. Xiai flatly refuses to deal with corpses and all that. Whoever needs it should do it. It looks like the young beauty is either frightened by this prospect, or she is simply disgusted. Eileen tells the cutie that increasing the level will not only increase the body's capabilities several times, but will also eliminate the dependence on the host's corpse energy. Other goodies are also possible. The girl is thinking seriously. On the one hand, she doesn't really want to become the walking dead. On the other hand, how far she is ready to go, indulging the whims of this person. Can he be trusted? Cheng Xuan at this time comes to the conclusion that there is only one place where the required number of non-decomposed corpses is collected. This is a hospital morgue. Hearing the young man's thoughts, Mrs. E can't stand it and loses her temper. The beauty is not going to deal with corpses and visit morgues. The young maiden comes out of the utility room and loudly slams the door. The guy and his animal don't even have time to say anything. But the slave cannot be released. They have too little time. The cat jumps off its owner's shoulder and notices a strange object at the door. Most likely a young girl lost this ring. It's strange, forces are bubbling inside this object. Our hero looks out from behind the door and asks the slave to stop. The girl is very angry, but reason prevails. Just need to calm down a little. Cheng Xuan takes his slave's hand and hugs her tenderly. The little girl endured so many dangers and remained resilient. Will some dead people really scare her? After all, Xiai is so brave. Suddenly, the heroine is struck by memories of her distant childhood. The beauty thought that she had already forgotten about it, but the young man's words reminded her of one very long time ago. A little girl once promised her dying mother that she would be brave. Even if mom isn't around. And this girl intends to fulfill her word to the person closest to her. There was also some strange woman who drove my mother to the grave. And the little girl promised herself that when she grew up, she would definitely find this woman and avenge her mother's death. Mistress E needs the power that the guy offers her. To keep your word. Is it really possible that some trifles in the form of dead people will be able to stop her? The girl agrees. Our hero is very pleased with his slave. The task has a time limit. We need to quickly find a place suitable for draining energy. Having already gone outside, the slave asks to call her when a suitable place is found. And now the girl needs to take care of other important issues. Meanwhile, the cat is still looking at the throne ring. This item, like everything in this room, was definitely created by cultivators. This shop definitely has some secrets. The young man returns to the room and picks up the jewelry. The young man feels movement inside the object. Eileen explains that these are mental forces that want to get out. Continuing the story, the magical creature says that everything in this room has a hidden power that is trying to get out. This is unlikely to be a mere coincidence. The guy looks around and asks a natural question. How can you use these powers for yourself? After all, these artifacts can bring unprecedented power to their owner. Master Eileen is embarrassed. Even an animal does not know how to evaluate the power and ownership of magical objects. Not to mention how to activate them. Cheng Xuan is putting the ring on the shelf for now. It is clear that the former owner did not deal in antiques, but collected these items. The gentleman will deal with this task later. Coming out of the utility room and closing the door, our hero hears his assistant calling him. The girl shouldn't know what's really going on here. The new director's assistant looks slightly worried. The beauty heard heated arguments behind the door of the utility room and is worried that her friend might have new problems. A young man calms a young lady. These were simply disputes about how to run a business and avoid possible difficulties. At this point, consensus has been reached. Cutie still looks upset. An assistant has a problem and wants to take time off from work early. The young lady's sick brother suddenly became worse. Mr. Schwan does not see any problem in this. The guy himself needs to go out on business. So the store can be closed for today. Family is more important than any job. After some time, our hero is in the hospital where he once worked. The guy here knows all the ins and outs. Therefore, this place is best suited to complete the task. Having reached the morgue premises, the young man thinks about what to do next. The door to the morgue is closed, and the key is with the guard, who sits here and watches the entrance. Eileen suggests not to make anything complicated. Just knock the person out with a good move, take the key and enter the room. The young man has enough strength now. Suddenly our hero sees his assistant walking along the corridor. Sweetie said she was going to the hospital. Looks like both friends needed to go to the same place. Seeing Cheng Xuan, the beauty is very surprised. She never thought that the new director would have business in such a place. In addition, the data from my brother's examination are not very reassuring. The young man greets again and talks about a friend who is in this hospital and whom the young man is visiting. If the guy knew that the assistant needed to come here, they could go together. The girl listens to her friend in half an ear. The brother suddenly fell into a coma. She overheard the nurses talking about how the boy might never recover from this condition. Master Xuan notices something strange here. The girl's brother did not have such a fatal disease. The boy was slowly recovering. And then suddenly there was such a drastic change. Something is not right here. The young man accompanies his girlfriend to the door of her brother's room. Just at this moment, his attending physician Zhou Qiang leaves the patient. The doctor notices the young people and stops. The store manager's assistant asks worriedly about her brother's condition. It is clear that Xia Oman is very worried and does not find a place for himself. Dr. Chang explains that the boy's situation has deteriorated greatly. At this point, you need to be strong and not panic. The medical staff is doing everything possible. Cheng Xuan is wary. The young man notices a strange energy in the ward of young Gu Xiaomi. There's definitely something strange going on here. Meanwhile, Mrs. Mon is wondering why the new treatment and medications that the girl recently bought are not helping. The boy should have felt better. The doctor says that for some reason the previously predicted result cannot be achieved. The young man is not just in a coma, but suffering. And no one knows how to get Gu Xiaomi out of this. Our hero asks his magical assistant to look into the boy's room and say what the animal sees there. The guy has a strange feeling, as if there is an unknown energy inside. Master Eileen looks at the patient and sees how invisible energy threads entwine the guy's body and head like a web. It is not surprising that medicine cannot do anything. The cat continues the explanation. Spiritual forces condensed here into threads and enveloped the boy's body. That's why ordinary people don't see them. But who could have done this and why? Dr. Chang notices the young man's strange behavior out of the corner of his eye. At the same time, the man does not show that he sees more than he says. Our hero looks at the doctor and also thinks that the man in the white coat is not so simple. Perhaps it would be better to think about this and not take any hasty action. Meanwhile, the doctor asks Xia Oman to strengthen herself and quickly make a decision on the advisability of further treatment of her brother. The new director of the store approaches the girl, hugs her tenderly and offers to go home and think everything over carefully. You should not make an important decision in a hurry. The young man introduces himself to Mr. Zhou Qiang. The young man looks into the eyes of a man in a white coat and understands that he should pretend to be a simpleton. There are more important things to do now. The doctor also introduces himself to our hero and thanks the young man for helping the young girl. The man also asks not to delay the decision. After all, the boy continues to suffer. Cheng Xuan fakes a smile. Something is definitely wrong with the doctor. Why does the doctor thank the master for his help? But the assistant needs to be calmed down and sent home to rest. The young man takes Mrs. Man by the shoulders and leads her out of the hospital. The girl is still frightened by the health of her brother and does not quite understand what is happening around her. Mr. Chang looks after the retreating young people. The man saw the familiar's cat, but the guy doesn't smell like a cultivator. In any case, the young man noticed the doctor's hand attached to the patient. Leaving the medical facility, our hero puts Xia Oman into a taxi and sends him home. The beauty has no face. The baby is so worried that she doesn't understand anything. She agrees to go on vacation. Having sent an assistant, Mr. Xuan calls his blood slave on the phone. The young man found a suitable place to raise the level of Xiayi. All that remains is to arrange a meeting. Late at night, when all the support rooms are closed, in the basement of the hospital near the morgue, only the light is on in the guard's room. The pitter-patter of feet can be clearly heard in the quiet corridor. An enraged man looks out of his window. Who dared to come here at such a late hour? A special permit from a pathologist is required to enter the morgue. A stunning beauty appears in front of an aging, balding man. The young girl smiles slyly at the guard and asks for forgiveness for distracting the man from important matters. The man is surprised. If the beauty is a relative of the deceased, she still needs permission from the head of the department. You can't just walk into the morgue. Master Xuan and his cat are watching from around the corner. The young man is very interested in how exactly his slave is going to get inside. A young maiden pretends to be a fool and tries to seduce the guard. It's not very difficult for her to do this, because the cutie is very sexy. The concerned cat immediately swam away. Apparently the animal has some kind of hidden fetish for beautiful ladies. Our hero is skeptical about what is happening. It seems that Lady's charms did not have much effect on the elderly man. A balding man politely refuses his guest access. There are rules that cannot be broken. He could be fired for this. The little girl throws a wad of green bills at the guard's face. A universal remedy that can open almost any door and make an obese person a little more accommodating. Xiayi says that she really needs to get to the morgue. No one will know about this, and a man can make good money from this. The guard excitedly holds the money in his hands, but continues to insist that this is not according to the rules. The person no longer wants to give the bribe back, mentally imagining what he can buy with this amount. But he's still afraid. The girl gradually begins to lose patience. The daughter of the head of the city's richest corporation showers a security guard with money. He is beside himself with joy and no longer sees anything around him. Here the elderly, preoccupied man has a crazy idea to take full advantage of the situation. The man invites the beauty to look inside the lodge. The slave's patience is running out. The young mistress grabs the guard by the shirt, pulls him through the window and demands to open the door immediately. A frightened man tries to reach the panic button. But the girl's short arms and surprisingly strong grip prevent her from doing this. But Mr. Xuan comes to help his slave. The young man uses the dark chimera technique. The guard receives 2 quick and accurate blows to special points on the body. A moment later, an obese man with no memory falls out of the window of his guardhouse and lies on the floor completely unconscious. This should calm the man down for at least 6 hours. Our hero takes the keys to the premises from the security guard. The young man is very pleased with himself and his slave. Everything was played out perfectly. Of course, it was necessary to punish the greedy and lustful little man. Friends are ready to go inside. You need to act quickly. Cheng Xuan still needs to solve the problem regarding his assistant's brother. The slave is surprised why the cultivators attacked the boy. The door to the morgue opens and our heroes look inside. The beauty is still a little scared. The girl just needs to quickly gain energy and she can leave. Upon entering the room, Xiao's terrible fear is also mixed with a terrible cold. To prevent bodies from decomposing, the morgue maintains a constant low temperature. The young man hugs his slave and tries to calm her down. If monsters suddenly appear, the guy will quickly deal with them and protect the lovely lady. Cheng Xuan looks around. After the transformation, the young man's feelings intensified. He smells a strong scent of corpse energy. Other people hear only decaying bodies. Eileen is wary. There is still some smell in the room. But the cat cannot determine what it is. There are definitely some forces at play here. The young man gently nudges the chilled Mrs. E. We need to finish the task quickly and get out of here. The beauty doesn't quite understand what exactly she needs to do. The cat explains the procedure and the girl, taking the appropriate pose, immediately begins absorbing energy. From all sides, corpse power flows into the palms of our beauty. The guy is somewhat puzzled. The slave instantly understood what needed to be done. Once again, Master Xuan is convinced that Mrs. E is not as simple as she seems. The magical creature is also surprised. Although first-class blood slaves have excellent abilities, this young maiden is very smart. Suddenly our hero notices that there is no corpse energy coming from one of the boxes. Is there really no body in it? The young man decides to test his feelings and open this box. Suddenly the young man notices how the cell he needs is shrouded in invisible threads. It seems these are the same forces that covered the body of poor brother Xiaoman. Master Eileen notices that these threads are strong. This means that the cultivator who created them is very powerful. You need to be careful. The guy, meanwhile, is going to use his abilities to open the box. Looking inside, both heroes are seriously surprised. Inside is an item that the guys never expected to see here. The guy pulls out a scale. The cat explains that this scale is of the earthly level. It is very rare and gives its owner enormous power. The local cultivator is indeed extremely dangerous. It seems that the owner of this scale is the same person who wrapped the sick boy in threads. The guys look at each other. Something strange is clearly happening in this hospital. A sudden, sharp movement cuts the air with a sharp object. Master Xuan manages to react at the last moment. Sharply dodging to the side, the cat flies off the young man's shoulder. The same sick boy, the brother of the assistant Xiaoman, appears in front of the heroes. The boy has a sharp scalpel in his hands. The child doesn't seem to understand what he's doing at all. The young man takes a fighting stance and is ready to defend himself. But this is his assistant's brother. He can't be hurt. And what exactly is going on here? Xiaomi continues his attack. The boy has some strange eyes. It's as if the guy is being controlled and he doesn't realize what he's doing. The dangerous attacks continue. Cheng Xuan dodges and hits his opponent's acupuncture points as he goes. This technique should calm the boy down without causing him serious damage. The young guy freezes for a moment. A strange laugh comes from his lips. The voice says that no harm can be done to the child's body even if you know the most dangerous points. It's just a doll. The guy begins to understand the meaning of what was said. It turns out that the local cultivator controls the body of Xiaomi. You need to be even more careful and come up with something quickly. The doll, or puppeteer, continues to mock our hero's pitiful efforts. All attempts to hit the enemy are designed for the nervous system of an ordinary person, not a cultivator. Master Xuan invites the main culprit not to hide behind the body of the unfortunate child, but to come out and show his face. If, of course, this person has enough courage. The cultivator does not react in any way to these words. While the wizard is sucking the life out of the boy, he can both control him safely and become stronger. Somewhere in another room stands Dr. Chang. Invisible energy threads stretch from the man's fingers, through which the doctor controls the boy's body like a puppet. The boy has the sign of a cultivator on his forehead. A scale that gives its owner power over the body of the victim. Omi urgently needs help, otherwise he won't last long. The cat loses his temper. Apparently the doctor recognized the familiar and understood how to take advantage of the situation. Eileen sees a serious threat and believes that the enemy should be dealt with quickly. You can't count on Mrs. E now. While the girl is absorbing energy, the beauty is in a state of trance. To tear her out of this state would cause serious harm. Our hero asks the doctor directly what he needs from the boy. Is the young man trying to negotiate with the villain or is he stalling for time? Dr. Chang says that Omi is a brazier that was found with great difficulty. The cultivator has no intention of giving the child away. But taking a new body into the frying pan is a great pleasure. Cheng Xuan orders his opponent to stop his experiments immediately. The young man will not allow the little boy to die and the doctor will have to answer for everything. The magical creature warns the owner that the brazier is a very dangerous and forbidden skill. It can be used to cultivate new scales. But people's souls are burned at the same time. The young master understands why the doctor tried to persuade the store manager's assistant to stop treating her brother. It was necessary to cover up the boy's death with the reluctance of his relatives to continue treatment. Dr. Chang just laughs. This knowledge will not help our hero in any way. Today the cultivator will receive everything he needs. He will also launch new victims into his frying pan. Xiaoyi still continues to receive its share of corpse power. You can't distract her. But you need to protect the cutie. Now the slave is more vulnerable than ever. The owner of the scale of immortality is ready to fight. The guy will be able to protect his loved ones and solve the problem with an experienced cultivator. It looks like our hero has some kind of plan. Omi, on the orders of his master, rushes to attack our hero. Fast and sharp movements, as well as the absence of fear of death, make the child a very dangerous opponent. Young Mi swings a scalpel, trying to hit the young man. Our hero sees no point in fighting the puppet. You need to find the owner, otherwise nothing will work out. Suddenly, the boy quickly throws a sharp blade straight at Cheng Xuan's chest. If it weren't for the reaction enhanced by corpse energy, the guy would have already thrown off his hooves. The young man intercepts the surgical instrument. If the doll is controlled using invisible threads, then you can try to cut off these threads. Turning on his enhanced vision, our hero notices magical ends reaching out to all the child's limbs. Having lost his hands, the cultivator would no longer be able to feed on the boy's soul. No sooner said than done. Mr. Xuan rushes into a swift attack. The young man cuts the threads one by one, not allowing the enemy to come to his senses and do anything. A moment later, the brother of our hero's assistant becomes free from external control. The young man throws the sharp instrument onto the floor. The cultivator no longer has power over the child. The doctor just laughs at the pathetic attempts to stop him. The man concentrates and releases red magical threads from his hands. Such a connection cannot be cut so easily. A new connection envelopes the body and all the limbs of the child. The cultivator is too powerful to be defeated without fighting him directly. In yet another attack on our hero, the guy understands that he urgently needs to find the owner of the puppet. If the threads are connected with the doctor, then you should look for the enemy using them. Having dodged, the young man touches one of the strings that controls the boy's movements. Mr. Schwan listens to the vibration sound to determine where it started. Suddenly, hearing where the sound was moving, our hero realizes where the doctor is. The cultivator hides in a dark corner of the same room and uses his powers so that the man is not found. Dr. Chang is surprised by Cheng Xuan's intelligence. Looks like his location has been revealed. It's amazing how this guy managed to do it. Our hero concentrates the corpse's energy and uses a special technique, the skill of which the guy acquired recently. Finally, this battle can be put to an end. The cultivator is scared. The man was not ready for such a turn of events. We urgently need to come up with something to defeat a dangerous enemy. Meanwhile, taking advantage of the doctor's momentary confusion, the young man delivers a powerful blow to the cultivator's chest. Trying to dodge does not lead to tangible results. But Master Xuan is not going to stop there. The young man instantly runs up to his opponent and presses the acupuncture point, causing paralysis in the enemy. Unable to move, Dr. Chang still continues to control his puppet. The man directs the child to attack the currently defenseless Xia Omi. Cheng Xuan is seriously scared. The young man did not foresee such an option. If the slave gets hurt, our hero will only have himself to blame. The young man instantly blocks Mrs. E with himself, taking the full force of the blow. The young man needs to do something. Attacking the doctor didn't really help matters. Defending himself from a deadly attack while protecting his slave, the owner of the scale of immortality tries to strike back. But corpse energy doesn't really help in the fight against the doll. Our hero delivers very fast and accurate strikes. But it doesn't hit the boy, but the threads through which the cultivator controls his puppet. Master Eileen is shocked by what is happening. Corpse force is deadly for any cultivator. Transferring this power to the owner through magical threads is a damn good idea. The energy of the immortal scale quickly spreads along the threads and moves towards Dr. Chang. The man doesn't seem to understand what's going on yet. The poison enters the doctor's body and he finally experiences pain and fear. The man in the white coat has nothing to oppose against such power. Without thinking twice, Cheng Xuan delivers a strong kick to the opponent's chest. The doctor flies back several meters. It won't be easy to recover from this. Our hero and his magical creature watch as the defeated cultivator lies in a pile of dust and broken furniture. The cat is very pleased with his owner. Suddenly, the enraged doctor stands up and shouts at the young man that the guy won't be able to end up here so easily. The dangerous enemy is not going to let the young man go. Cheng Xuan is a little surprised, but in principle he doesn't mind knocking the man out again. The animal also does not understand why the doctor does not want to stop. After all, there is no longer a chance to win. Meanwhile, strange things happen to the cultivator. The man convulses, and red threads coming out of his fingers begin to envelop Zhou Chang's entire body. After some time, the doctor turns into a huge monster with eyes burning with blood. Apparently this cultivator turned out to be not at all as simple as Master Xuan had expected. Eileen understands that the doctor created himself armor from threads. Such subtle control of forces is only possible for a cultivator who has reached the second level. The monster rushes towards our hero, trying to hit the guy with a blow from a huge fist. Perhaps Cheng Xuan does not have the strength to defeat such a powerful opponent. The young man barely manages to dodge the attacks of a strong opponent. Dr. Chang continues his rapid offensive. The creature seemed determined to kill the young man. The cat is scared and tries to run away. The magical animal shouts to the owner that despite all the capabilities of the restless soul, the level of the ruler is not enough to defeat the huge monster. But our hero has no way to escape. We need to help the assistant's younger brother and protect the blood slave. The young man concentrates his strength and boldly rushes into the attack. Cheng Xuan tries to stab the mad doctor, but the monster only laughs at these attempts. The cultivator perceives the young man as an ant and wants to crush him. The young man jumps to the side. The guy has no chance against such power, but it is necessary to bide his time so that Xiai is safe. Magic threads twisted into blades move in the direction of the guy. But our hero stopped dodging. Mr. Xuan stands calmly and watches what is happening. The next moment, a bright light illuminates the morgue room. The young master exudes great energy. The monster backs away and does not understand what is happening. It seems that young lady has completed the process of absorbing the corpse's power. The task is completed, and friends have the opportunity to improve their powers. Master Eileen is very happy. Rescue came at the last minute. Now the owner will have new skills and opportunities. This means there will be a chance to survive. Our hero picks up the exhausted girl in his arms. The daughter of the head of the city's richest corporation is still unconscious. But the hardest part has already been done. The cat jumps up to its owner from behind and conveys the new upgraded capabilities that have opened up after completing the second task. The young man calmly looks into the cultivator's eyes. The doctor still has the opportunity to give in and ask for forgiveness. Perhaps the young man will leave the doctor alive. The young lady comes to her senses, not understanding what is happening and why she is in the arms of her master. Master Xuan is very pleased that everything is fine with the slave. The baby jumps from our hero's arms and notices a huge monster. The guy explains that this is the same man who tormented the brother of the assistant of the new store director. Zhou Qiang just laughs at his friend's pathetic attempts to defeat him. Now the doctor understands where the guy gets his strength, but it still won't be enough to defeat the monster. Magical threads, sharp as razor blades, rush towards our friends from all sides. The blood slave is terrified at the sight of approaching death. Mr. Xuan grabs the girl by the belt and, using advanced agility and strength, dodges the dangerous attacks of the cultivator, while managing to protect his slave. The young man summons new powers of the tiger and the dragon. A pretty cool skill, but unfortunately, it is powerless against the power of a second-level cultivator. Suddenly the young man opens his mouth and reveals a scale stolen from a cell in the morgue. While everyone forgot about the mile-long artifact in the confusion, the young man had a plan for victory all along. Cheng Xuan kisses his slave and gives her the strongest amulet. The girl is slightly stunned by this behavior of the owner, but feels a surge of new strength. A moment later, the daughter of the head of the corporation is enveloped in a fog of energy. Threads of power confidently weave around the slave's body. And the absorbed scales in the chest light up. Xiai expands his spiritual space and gains access to an ancient martial art. The owner of such scales can master ancient fighting techniques in an instant. A second later, our hero's slave demonstrates excellent skills in controlling her chi. The girl is pleased with herself and enjoys the process. A huge variety of combat tricks flash through our beauty's head in an instant. This includes fencing and wushu. And a whole bunch of different skills. Our hero also manages to make a joke in such a situation. The young man notices that his kiss was very opportune. The beauty is embarrassed by this approach. The scale could have been transferred in another way. The guy apologizes and tries to draw the slave's attention to how strength flows through her, and her head is filled with new knowledge. Many people are ready to make great sacrifices for the sake of such abilities. Mrs. E thinks about the young man's words. Such cool opportunities really won't hinder the cutie in the future. But accepting her position as a submissive slave is too difficult. The outraged girl is ready to teach her master a lesson for his impudent behavior. What was also missing was that in the future the guy could go in for a kiss whenever he wanted. The young man turns the attention of the daughter of the head of the richest clan of the city to the monster. The guys still need to defeat the evil cultivator. Then the girl, if she wants, let her do what she sees fit. The young maiden notices the words of our hero after all to do what she herself considers necessary. Cheng Xuan can be sure that his kiss will not go unnoticed. Xiaoyi instantly takes a fighting stance and is ready to attack the huge monster. Now the girl has everything necessary to put all the villains in their place. Zhou Qiang to the pitiful attempts of our friends to overcome his power. The doctor extends his hand and directs his magical threads towards the fragile baby. The blood slave easily dodges the dangerous branches of the monster and, in a jump, prepares to strike with her fist. Dr. Chang is not going to wait, the man swings back. The opponent's fists meet with terrible force, releasing huge layers of energy. No opponent is inferior to another in physical strength. But our hero wastes no time and, while the slave distracts the doctor, delivers an insidious blow from the dark chimera right into the stomach of the huge monster. Corpse energy is doing its job. The cultivator flies several meters back and hits the wall with its back. The man in the red energy threads clearly did not expect such resistance. Angry, Zhou Qiang launches another attack. Even the combined efforts of our friends will not be enough to defeat the strongest Tier 2 cultivator. The monster attacks the fragile girl first, naively believing that she is the weaker one now. The beauty easily dodges the doctor's quick movements. Using the right moment, Lady Yi uses an ancient and dangerous technique. The young slave places her palm on the monster's chest and summons a network consisting of energy threads. This is quite enough to throw the cultivator back again, causing terrible pain to the man. It looks like the monster is doomed to defeat. Friends stand nearby, ready to continue the battle. The cutie takes a fighting stance, and our hero grins at Zhou Qiang. The only weak body here is the doctor. Suddenly, the doctor is enveloped in hellish flames of strange power. The monster still grins, saying that he will make an exception for the guys and start fighting at full strength. All our heroes, including the magical furry creature, are dumbfounded by the words spoken. It turns out that the cultivator had not used all its power before. The monster turns to face Cheng Xuan. Smoke comes from the monster's mouth. The eyes glow with a strange fire. There's a grin on your face. Zhou Qiang will do a favor and show what he is really capable of. The young man manages to grab his slave by the lower back and jump away from the powerful blow. Next to the guys, a large hole appears in the concrete floor of the morgue, the size of a monster's fist. Our friends are scared and don't know what to do. The doctor's magical armor not only gives a man impenetrable protection, but also enhances his capabilities many times over. The young man involuntarily stares at the magnificent breasts of his companion. Even in such a difficult situation, a man remains a man. How good it is to admire a woman's tender breasts even now. Suddenly, Master Cheng Xuan has a strange thought. It is true that tenderness can subjugate rudeness. Maybe we can use this somehow. Meanwhile, Zhou Qiang doesn't even think about stopping. Furiously shouting that inevitable death will now come to his friends, the monster continues his attacks. The young man whispers his guess into the girl's ear. Perhaps the tender and fragile little girl will be able to use her true strength to defeat the monster. The young lady really likes this idea. She even has in her combat arsenal a suitable technique for using such data. It might even be possible to finally defeat the cultivator. Xiaoyi takes a special stance, closes his eyes and concentrates. One can see how two opposing forces flow from the hands of the young slave. The doctor in magical armor only laughs at the pitiful attempts of his friends to somehow save their lives. The monster gathers its forces into one powerful blow. The fist resolutely strives to hit the girl. But Mrs. E calmly meets such a violent movement. The young lady continues to concentrate the energy of yin and yang. At the moment of contact, when the destructive force of the cultivator should smash the girl's fragile body into pieces, the monster's fist stops the light touch of the fingers. Using ancient fighting techniques, the blood slave takes the doctor's magical powers and collects them in a small fiery beam. At the same time, control over this power is completely within the control of the girl. Zhou Qiang writhes in bewilderment as to how this fragile child could so easily deprive him of his strength. I should have not been so arrogant and acted much more carefully. It was Master Xuan's turn to taunt the enemy. For any force there is always an opposite force. Gentleness can subdue rudeness. Now the monster's power belongs to Xiaoyi. And now this power will return to its owner. Blood Slave swings a fireball and throws it towards Dr. Chang. Let's see how the doctor can withstand his own energy directed against him. The ball is so powerful that it simply smashes the cultivator into small pieces. The monster is plunged into hellish energy flames and is unable to resist this destruction. The man's armor is shattered. Now the doctor's body is vulnerable to our hero's attacks. Zhou Qiang writhes in wild pain. If it weren't for the protective suit, the doctor would already be dead. Cheng Xuan happily charges forward. Let's see how the man in the white coat can now resist the acupuncture points. And with cadaverous energy to boot. Dr. Chang's armor begins to heal at an accelerated pace. It was not for nothing that the doctor spent so long and actively consuming the boy's vitality. A little more, and the enemy will again become practically invulnerable. Seeing how quickly the cultivator's defense is tightening, our hero hurries to quickly hit the doctor in the open part of the body. Time has ticked by in seconds and there may not be a second chance. The young man throws 2 fingers forward, carrying concentrated corpse force, deadly for cultivators. A little more and the goal will be achieved. At the last second, the armor is completely restored, and the young man hits an impenetrable magical defense. The evil doctor's energy is at maximum again and the man is ready for the second round. Zhou Qiang deals a powerful blow to Mr. Xuan. The new owner of the scale of immortality flies off to the side like a rag doll. The villain's next blow is aimed at the blood slave. The girl tries to repeat her technique and take away the enemy's powers, but the doctor is already ready for this and will not allow this to happen. The baby gets into combat formation. A calm and confident facial expression indicates a complete lack of fear of a dangerous enemy. The young lady wants to repeat the reception. Our hero understands that the slave will not succeed the second time. The surprise factor is lost. And something needs to be done urgently, otherwise the girl will die now. Cheng Xuan stands in front of the girl to protect her. The power of the cultivator is so high that the guy can only try to protect himself with his hands. Behind the young man's back, a blood slave hurries to the aid of her master. Xiaoyi cannot leave a friend to die. They will take the fight together. Hand in hand, our friends join forces and together hold back the onslaught of the magical monster. In any case, the dangerous blow does not cause any harm to the young people. Dr. Chang flies away. It seems that the joint force is many times greater than all single attempts to defeat the enemy. Perhaps the guys still have a chance. Suddenly the girl feels bad. Fighting to the limit does not leave its mark. The beauty has sprained her arm and can no longer fight at full strength. Our hero, looking at the resilience of his girlfriend, gives birth to an interesting idea. If the combined strength of friends can break through the monster's defense, then it can still be used. Meanwhile, the monster rises to its feet, having completely restored its damaged armor. The doctor laughs at the young people's attempts to defeat him. It's useless. But Cheng Xuan is full of optimism. Apparently the young man came up with some kind of plan. The new owner of the antique shop confidently invites the enemy to surrender. The magical monster only mocks in response. Dr. Chang, pointing his finger at our hero, promises the guy a quick death. And no trick will help save the young man's life. The master, according to a well-known habit, whispers his plan of action to the slave in blood. It is clear that the girl does not like the young man's idea. The beauty indignantly refuses to fulfill her master's request. This is too dangerous and Master Xuan may die. The cutie can't allow this to happen. The young man reassures his girlfriend, assuring that there is really no danger. And the guy has everything under control. Of course, the owner of the scale of immortality is disingenuous so that the young lady does not worry so much. The enraged monster was tired of waiting for the young people to talk. The monster growls throughout the morgue and prepares to finally kill two friends and their little furry animal. Zhou Qiang calls on all his infernal energy and launches a powerful stream of flame at the guys. Apparently the monster is really tired of competing with our heroes. The beauty uses an ancient technique of soft power, calling on the energy of yin and yang. Xiai no longer hopes to defeat the cultivator, but at least she will be able to delay him. This entire stream of hot plasma falls on the fragile slave. If it weren't for the pumped-up strength, there wouldn't even be bones left from the girl's body. Gathering all her strength and will, the blood slave tries to hold back the onslaught of her opponent. So far she has succeeded, but the cutie can't continue like this for long. The guy stands in front of his companion, hiding behind her energy like a shield. The young man is quite confident in himself and gives the command to his slave to carry out his order. The monster looks at the guy's attempts to do something and doesn't understand what else he can expect from these young people. The monster's armor is almost impenetrable and, if something happens, it is quickly restored. Meanwhile, the daughter of the head of the most influential corporation in the city transfers one hand to her master and transfers all her remaining strength to him. The guy calmly accepts new opportunities. Combining the power of two people at once, the master of the heavenly scales and the slave on the blood, the restless one immediately rushes to attack. From experience, the two forces are capable of temporarily penetrating the doctor's armor. The young man puts all his energy and the energy transferred to him by the slave into his blow. The monster is twisted, and his magic suit breaks into pieces. Blood sprays from the doctor's mouth and his chest is exposed. Finally, the opportunity arises to defeat this second-level cultivator once and for all. And the young man is going to use this window to his fullest. Our hero is now close enough to Zhou Qiang to deliver a decisive blow to the man's unprotected body. Now the suit simply won't have time to recover. Receiving multiple touches of the corpse's force on acupuncture points, the doctor's protective armor completely falls apart. And the doctor himself is writhing in pain. Eileen is infinitely happy that his new owner turned out to be so brave and smart. The cat had already said goodbye to life several times, but Master Xuan still managed to turn the situation around. The defeated cultivator falls to the cold concrete floor of the room, unable to do anything more dangerous. A man's powers are blocked by special points. Suddenly, the fluffy magical animal notices a small object falling out of the doctor's pocket. This is the Pearl of the Soul. A very ancient and unique artifact. Zhou Qiang sits on the floor and cannot believe that he ultimately lost. Is this really the end of a long and hard journey? The next second there is a small explosion. Our heroes cover their faces with their hands. This sound comes from that little pearl. A strange woman emerges from the artifact. Her eyes glow with blood, her body is pale, like that of a dead person. And around this creature there are energy vortexes of a strange formation. Our hero covers his slave with lightning speed. It seems that this gesture occurs automatically in the young man. A strange woman passes her hand next to the guy, but does not touch him. But even without direct impact, Mr. Xuan gets a burn on his hand. Apparently this creature, which emerged from the Pearl of the Soul, has colossal and as yet unknown power to the guy. The cat warns the owner that this woman is a real demon. It seems that the cultivator created the furnace not only to absorb the souls of other people, but also to summon true evil. The witch casts a cold gaze at the people gathered in the room. It is unknown what this hellish creature wants, but from everything it is clear that it is more expensive for oneself to get involved with this demon. The young man warns Xiaoyi that even a slight touch from this demon can kill a person. The woman was able to burn Mr. Xuan simply by being nearby. But the otherworldly creature turned its gaze to the amazed cultivator. The man was enveloped in the flames of hell. Looks like the demon doesn't need our friends right now. The monster takes the exhausted doctor and disappears through the doorway. The blood slave gives chase, but the owner stops the girl. Now the guys don't have enough strength to fight such evil. The owner of the scale of immortality shows his companion how dangerous it is to communicate with this demonic creature. An ominous force still emanates from the wound on the guy's hand. The young man picks up the pearl of the soul, examines the artifact and concludes that such a powerful instrument may be useful to our hero in the future. Cheng Xuan puts the item in his pocket. The guys approach the poor boy, whose soul was sucked out by the cultivator. Perhaps there is still a slight chance to save the little brother of the assistant manager of the store. The guy is alive, but writhing in pain. The mark of the celestial scales is visible on his forehead. Now that the doctor has lost contact with his ward, the boy cannot independently cope with the power of the artifact. This scale was implanted directly into the boy's brain to absorb his powers directly. Now, having lost control, a piece of the meteorite seems ready to explode. The young man, realizing that the child could die at any moment, rushes to the boy's aid. However, our hero has no idea what can be done in such a situation. Touching the child's forehead, the Xuan master's hand is enveloped by the invisible threads of the puppet owner. It looks like the cultivator left a trap here in case of uninvited guests. And this magic could kill anyone who touched the boy. But the young man is not dead. You can't defeat a guy with such a simple technique. The threads crumble into shreds and gradually disappear. Only one, leaving, makes a small cut on the young man's palm. From this wound a drop of blood falls directly onto the boy's forehead. The next moment, a strange light illuminates the scales on the boy's forehead. The cat and its owner watch what is happening in surprise. It seems that the divine scale reacts to Cheng Xuan's blood. The heavenly artifact independently emerges from the child's body and moves towards our hero. The young man is excited. He didn't even know he was capable of such tricks. Taking the meteorite in your hand, your own scale of immortality lights up with a strange glow. It seems that the meteorites have resonated with their energies. Master Eileen looks very happy. The new item not only gave the owner an additional skill, but also unlocked new improvement opportunities. Our hero looks at his hand, which has been hit by a heavenly divine scale. A very rare artifact somehow merged with the corpse's power and enhanced its capabilities. The cat says that this is a very rare and unique relic. The magical creature cannot believe that so much power is concentrated in the hands of its owner. The young man thinks about what dangerous opponent he has met. Lots of stones and artifacts, huge and pumped up strength. This doctor is far from simple. The slave rushes to her comrade and examines his hand, in which the sign of the heavenly soul stone is visible. The girl is very interested in exactly what abilities are revealed to Cheng Xuan. Suddenly the scale begins to vibrate and glow strongly. The frightened animal assumes that the stone has not fully adapted and is about to explode. And suddenly a strange metamorphosis occurs with the young man's vision. The young man begins to see his companion without clothes. It's like X-ray vision. The man and his animal begin to drool. No one could have imagined such a sight. And the slave, as luck would have it, is still very sexy and slender. The beauty understands what is happening and loses her temper. How dare they stare at her charms? The girl uses her new skills and hits the boy with a small poke. The guy comes to his senses and rubs the bruise. Master Eileen draws attention to the fact that the heavenly scale is famous for its unique ability to grow and develop. It seems that the eye of the soul will constantly grow, opening up new abilities for its owner. As a result, it may even grow to an invincible state. Cheng Xuan looks at his hand and still cannot believe his capabilities. Just recently, the young man was sick and weak. And he died somewhere in the alley. But there is no time to indulge in sentimentality. Soon the police will arrive in response to the noise. We need to get out of here quickly. The gentleman takes the boy in his arms and follows towards the exit. Looking at the child, the owner of two powerful scales notices that Xiaomi has become lighter and there is no need to worry about him for now. We need to quickly deliver the boy to Xiaomi. The slave finally becomes an ordinary girl and not a martial artist. The beauty notices that she is tired, dirty, and not getting enough sleep. Xiai turns around and goes to his home. You need to take a bath and sleep. Let the owner take the child to his sister for now and take care of everything else. After some time, at the house of Xiaomi, a young beauty opens the door and goes out onto the porch to see who is knocking at such a late time of day. How happy the cutie is to see her idol and immediate boss. The young lady did not at all expect to see her director and friend now. The baby notices her little brother in Cheng Xuan's arms and is very surprised. Xiaomi should be in the hospital now. What's going on here? Our hero comes up with a story on the fly that an emergency happened in the hospital and the young man had to take the boy away. In addition, the child felt much better without medication. The boy comes to his senses and opens his eyes. Young Master Mi still does not understand what is happening here. Mr. Xuan explains that most likely the doctor was incompetent. Xiaomi no longer sees or understands anything. Her brother felt better. The girl suffered and worried for so long. And now, finally, her prayers were answered. Friends put the child to bed, and they continue the conversation outside the door. The store director has already made sure that the boy is sent for treatment to a good friend of the doctor. The young lady cannot contain her emotions. Her boss does so much for the girl. Mrs. Mon simply does not know how to thank the young man. Suddenly the conversation is interrupted by a phone call. This is Xiai calling. He probably wants to say something to the owner again. The young man picks up the phone, being in a great mood. The next moment our hero breaks out in a cold sweat. This is not his blood slave. A man's voice is heard on the phone. And also an acquaintance. Cheng Xuan recognizes the voice of the cultivator from the hospital. Looks like Little E is in trouble. She shouldn't have let her go on her own. The doctor, meanwhile, mocks. Did the guy really think that he would end up with Zhou Qiang so easily? A man in a white coat gives instructions to his interlocutor where and when to arrive. Meanwhile, the beauty, tied hand and foot, is trying to get out. While the young man is talking on the phone, his assistant is worried. The baby hears screams from the speaker of the handset and sees the worried face of her director. Master Xuan wants to protect the young lady from new problems and sends her to work. The girl is slightly alarmed, but prefers to obey the elder. Having sent Mrs. Mon to another room, our hero asks the doctor what exactly he wants. The guy is very angry. After all, a blood slave should have had her own guards. Dr. Chang demands the return of the soul pearl and divine scale from the boy's body. Otherwise, the young man will receive the corpse of his girlfriend. This ends the conversation. The next moment, a new emergency task opens before our heroes. It is necessary to save the blood slave from death, otherwise the owner will be punished. Master Eileen was about to run out, but the young man was lost in thought. The system accurately determines whether someone is in danger or not. This is interesting. In addition, the man in the white coat had probably prepared a trap. The fluffy magical creature doesn't care about anyone's traps. If you fail to complete the mission, the punishment can be very severe. And since the souls of friends are united, there is no time to hesitate. The guy understands that Xiaoyi got into this situation because of him. Therefore, Cheng Xuan will save the girl no matter what mission. Since the young lady is now a prisoner, there is no point in relying on her strength. A sudden scream from the store's closet makes our hero jump up. A young man with a frightened face runs into the room where his assistant is. Xia Oman points to the ring with a frightened face. The object allegedly moved on its own. This is the same artifact that Mrs. E dropped when she went home. Our hero calms the girl down by saying that the assistant is most likely tired. After all, the ring cannot move on its own. It's probably better for the cutie to go home and get some rest. When young Mon leaves, the young man touches this green object with his hand. Suddenly a strange glow appears and the ring begins to change shape and color. The artifact turns into the phantom ring. Apparently the scale in the young man's hand can not only perform the functions of an X-ray and determine the authenticity of other objects, but also improve them. The fluffy magical animal is very pleased with this acquisition. With its help, Mr. Xuan will be able to use magical weapons of unknown power. The guy picks up the ring and, realizing its true capabilities, realizes that it could be the key to saving his owner. Now you can go to a meeting with the insidious doctor. Meanwhile, somewhere in a dark cave, Xiaoyi is trying to break free from the shackles that bind the legs and arms of a young girl. The beauty showers threats and curses on her captor. Dr. Chang doesn't want to listen to this. The man in the white coat simply snaps his fingers without uttering a single word. As if on command, magical threads appear from somewhere. Thin energy ropes bind the beauty all over her body and put her in a very uncomfortable position. The man hopes that now the captive will shut up. The silhouette of a woman emerges from a small underground lake. This beauty points out to the cultivator that he does not know how to carefully treat the fair sex. The witch notices that our hero may not come. After all, the young man knows very well that he is being lured into a trap. Although, on the other hand, the guy, like all men, is not able to think with his head. Zhou Qiang complains that this is their only plan. Besides, the trap has already been set. Now it's important to keep your head down and wait for the trap to close. A strange and creepy creature completely crawled out of the water. Half beautiful girl, half huge spider. The monster is looking forward to how he can wrap Cheng Xuan in his net. After some time, the wind blows through the cemetery, which is located on the hill of a broken soul. Many local residents were once buried and cursed here. It was in this quiet place that the cultivator appointed a meeting for our friends. The owner of the scale of immortality, along with his animal companion, stand at the entrance to the cave. The guys notice a ghostly web and realize that they have come to the right place. Most likely, this is where a trap has been prepared for them. You need to be more careful and careful. The fluffy magical creature sniffs these threads and notices that they do not smell like a dangerous doctor at all. If Master Eileen is not mistaken, then this is the smell of some kind of guardian spider spirit. The young man does not understand what spirit he is talking about, so the cat continues to explain. The guardian spirit is actually a werewolf. And when he makes a deal with the owner, he becomes a spiritual protector. Such a creature can receive energy from its master, but must be his protector. And the owner, in turn, can use the powers of his being. The young man now understands where Dr. Chang got such powerful abilities associated with the magical web. Most likely, this werewolf is a prepared trap. The owner of the most powerful scale, together with his animal companion, enters the depths of the cave. There are a whole bunch of magical threads around. Hanging from the ceiling in the center of the makeshift room is Xiaoyi, bound by the threads of a guardian spider and wearing strange clothes. Apparently the cultivator has a concerned taste. Cheng Xuan feels the walls. They are smooth and moist. It will take a long time to climb up and free the slave. We need to come up with something better. Eileen suggests that he climb up, cut the magical thread and free the beauty. Most likely, the girl will be immensely grateful to the cat for saving her and, perhaps, the animal will get a hug. Our hero grabs the furry creature by the scruff of the neck and throws it straight towards the blood slave. There is absolutely no time for daydreaming and ranting. The small animal lands directly on the chest of the young cutie. Clinging to the web with his claws, the guardian freezes with pleasure. Such proximity to a woman's breasts cannot but please. A young man holds onto a phantom ring. When the blood slave is freed, the young man uses this artifact so that his friends can get away from here. The cultivator observes what is happening in the cave through a magical connection on the surface of the underground lake. The man commands the huge monster to come out and slam the trap. The monster is very pleased. This owner of the scale of immortality is very handsome. Looks like the magical creature will play properly today. At this time, Master Eileen is trying his best to bite the magic threads. It turns out that this is not at all easy to do. In addition, the proximity of a beautiful female body is a good distraction. Our hero hurries up the anxious cat. The guys don't have any time. The guy feels the enemy already approaching. It seems he overestimated the capabilities of his guardian. Finally, the animal manages to get rid of the web, and he and the girl fall down. Fluffy somehow didn't think that it would be a good idea to crash on the stone floor. At the last moment, the undead man grabs his slave and prevents her from breaking on the rocks. The beauty has not yet come to her senses. You need to get out of here as soon as possible. The magical creature lands on all four legs and runs offendedly to the side. It was possible to catch him too. The young man raises his face and sees a huge half-woman spider in front of him. The claw, sharp as a blade, is pointed straight at our hero's face. The monster looks at its prey carnivorously. The witch did not think that the young man would come to save this girl. Now she is sorry that such a handsome man will have to be eaten in one bite. Having fallen to the ground, the guy notices that he thought he was going to meet an ugly guardian, but met a sexy girl. The monster is touched, but will not allow the young man's sweet tongue to change his plans. Literally a minute later, Cheng Xuan is already tied up on his knees and cannot move. The spider skillfully tried to ensure that the person could not do anything in this situation. The monster grabs its victim with the intention of starting to play with it as soon as possible. Apparently this creature has some kind of passion for dressing up and tying up games. Our hero admires the refined taste of the beautiful monster. Flattery in such a situation is never superfluous. The doctor's spiritual guardian happily picks up the game. The half-woman, half-spider tells the young man that the clothes on the body of the blood slave are also her work. This baby is so beautiful that it is simply impossible not to play with her. But the creature quickly forgets about the beauty lying nearby and already hugs the guy. The monster enjoys how fast the young man's heart beats. Master Eileen notices that his master is already completely at the mercy of the terrible creation. Something must be done urgently, otherwise the gentleman will soon die. And the cat is with him for company. The fluffy animal uses its magic and turns into the most beautiful maiden. Perhaps in this form the familiar will be able to distract the huge spider for a while. The cat girl quickly rushes straight into the llama monster. With a loving look, the cutie tries to attract the attention of the guardian Zhou Qiang to herself. The angry creature abruptly throws Eileen aside. The girl knows that the beauty is just a cat turned into a purse. Suddenly the dark creature notices her face being destroyed. Apparently because of our hero's guardian, the power supporting the monster's mask began to collapse. A woman with a spider's body grabs the head of a skeleton lying nearby and begins to suck the corpse's energy out of it. Apparently it is this force that maintains a normal state in the monster. The young man is stunned by what he sees. It seems that spirits like this spider are not only not afraid of corpse powers, but also use them for themselves. But how is this possible? Master Eileen explains that such creatures use the energy of corpses to achieve immortality. Even long-decayed bodies can exude these forces. Especially if they were cursed. Everywhere in the cave you can see the bones of long-dead people lying around. Now it's clear why the spider built her nest in this particular place. Here the monster can maintain its strength. Kitty also notices that the creature looks as if it is urgently forced to restore its strength. Perhaps the huge spider is injured and this can be used. Cheng Xuan attracts the cultivator's guardian's attention to himself. Why would a spider girl collect the pitiful remnants of corpse forces from skeletons if the guy is full of this energy? The young man shows his capabilities, exuding a huge amount of his strength in all directions. If a young man has what this creature needs so badly, then there is an opportunity to get out. Inhaling the pleasant aroma exuded by the guy's body, the monster girl goes into ecstasy. The sexy beauty had not seen such a concentration of corpse forces for a very long time. While the spider momentarily lost touch with reality, our hero notices that his bonds have loosened. Now Master Xuan has an excellent opportunity to free himself from the trap. The young man jumps up and points the X-ray-powered scale directly at the bloodthirsty monster. Didn't Zhou Qiang warn his guardian that the young man was immortal? Having illuminated the spider's body, the guy notices a wound on her body. Apparently Eileen was right and the creature was wounded. This means that the monster simply needs corpse energy for restoration. The owner of the scale of immortality voices his guesses out loud. And he offers the huge spider his services in providing him with enough energy that the monster needs so much. The witch closes the mouth of the stupid boy. The magical creation of dark forces again entangles the hands of our hero with its web. Why would a beauty make a deal if she could just suck the strength out of a dead body? Cheng Xuan calmly notes that after death his powers may dissipate. Then the spider will not receive an ounce of such sweet energy from the dead. The young man offers to let him and his friends go, and then the guy will give the monster as much power as this creature can absorb. And for the advance, Mr. Xuan touches the witch's body and transfers a small part of his powers to her. The blow turns out to be powerful enough to knock anyone down. But not this monster. The girl with the body of a spider feels such a surge of strength that she has not felt for a very long time. Was it really possible? Even this light touch is enough for her to recover. The shackles in the form of a magical web immediately fall from our hero's hands. The guy was even a little surprised. He didn't expect this guardian to give up and lose control so quickly. The next moment the spider throws itself at the feet of Master Xuan. A sexy girl with the body of a spider is ready to do anything to get even more corpse energy. Then the young man invites the creature to enjoy a special massage performed by our hero. The young man uses a chimera strike and showers the monster's entire body with deadly touches. The monster comes into real ecstasy from such a huge amount of dark forces. The cultivator's guardian feels so good that the creature cannot hold back his moans of pleasure. The next second a strange metamorphosis occurs. The monster is illuminated by a bright light. The young man backs away in amazement. Something unusual is happening. The glow goes out and a little witch appears in the place of the huge spider. The girl is so young that her clothes hang on her like a bag. Apparently such a large number of corpse forces changed the monster. Our hero's face shows amazement. The guy never expected this outcome. But the cat is clearly feeling excited. Well, there's no way a furry animal can pass by a beautiful female body. This young beautiful creature with spider legs is experiencing real bliss from her current state. The child had to survive by collecting bits of corpse power. Wang addresses Mr. Xuan. If a young man can give her such a massage every day, the magical creature is ready to faithfully serve the guy and be his guardian. A cultivator appears from around the corner. The horror of what is happening is clearly visible on Dr. Chang's face. The man sent the spider to kill our hero, and not to help him become stronger. A man in a white coat rudely reprimands his animal companion. The huge spider was supposed to return the eye of the soul and the pearl. And now she betrays her master and goes over to the other side. The young beauty grabs Cheng Xuan's hand. The doctor was well aware of the need for cadaveric energy. Therefore, he imprisoned the witch in this place and used her as he wanted. The owner of the scale of immortality thinks about all this. The guy only wanted to free his slave, and now the spider can be lured to his side. Things aren't going so badly. Zhou Qiang does not hold back curses towards the traitor and, in a fit of anger, releases magical threads at Wang Er. The man in the white coat forgets that the spider powers come from this creature. The girl reminds the cultivator that she was never his guardian. The spider helped out of necessity, but there was no contract between them. The little girl is also angry at the doctor because he himself killed his sister. Our hero remembers the demon released from the pearl, and realizes that this is the same sister of the maddened man. The young lady continues to talk. If the cultivator had not previously ordered the monster and Zhou Juan to go to the falling heavenly gate, they would have been able to quietly steal the soul's eye. The cat on the owner's shoulder is surprised to hear a familiar expression. This gate is a mystical organization that is hunting for the divine scales of cultivators. And Wang Er continues that everything is not enough for the man in the white coat. Having died in this outing, his sister became an evil demon imprisoned in the pearl of the soul. And my brother enjoys using it. Zhou Qiang angrily admits his guilt. But the doctor is not going to deviate from his goals. A man needs to take possession of the pearl and the eye of the soul. If the creature doesn't want to help, just let it not interfere. A young creature attacks its former owner. The spider would prefer to kill the man, only so that his sister would not suffer anymore and would be freed and rest in peace. Suddenly, the same demon appears between the doctor and the magical animal. The evil witch can't let her brother die no matter what he's done. The man in the white coat looks worried. The cultivator reminds that the sister's previous exit from the pearl has already harmed her. Then the creature can lose body and soul. The dangerous demonic creature turns around at the man's words. In the witch's gaze one can read sincere love. She asks not to worry. Evil spirits will never leave a loved one alone. The demon explains to Wang Er that the brother did not originally want to steal the eye of the soul. But having discovered his heavenly gates, they wanted to call upon heavenly sorrow. Therefore, Dr. Chang had to. Hearing the familiar expression, our friends looked at each other. Luo Xian told them about this heavenly sorrow before the connection was lost. The girl wanted to convey something important, but did not have time. Meanwhile, the demon continues his story. A doctor was once recruited by the organization to study scales. And the girls followed him. The guys made a lot of mistakes along the way. But the biggest was to underestimate the power of the heavenly gates. The brother accidentally discovered the document and found out what they wanted to use the divine scales for. Convinced with his own eyes that with the help of the scale of immortality and the eye of the soul, the organization wants to summon heavenly sorrow, the man decided to steal this eye. Heavenly tribulation is a great disaster that should become the forerunner of the transformation of the world into purgatory. The heavens will fall and no one will be spared. The full scale of responsibility for what is happening finally dawns on the young man. After all, it is Cheng Xuan who now possesses the two most important ingredients for the beginning of the end of the world. Wang Er becomes imbued with understanding and sympathy for his former master. It turns out that Zhou Qiang from the very beginning simply wanted to save the world from destruction. The cultivator explains that he wanted to ensure an immortal existence for himself and his sister. But having learned about the plans of these people, I decided to stop them. What is the point of endless life if there is no more peace? The man is very angry. His sister paid for her intentions to save everyone with her life. Now the doctor will have to bear this burden for the rest of his life. The demon gently hugs the man and calms his anger. Now the guys are together and nothing threatens them. You need to be able to be content with what fate gives. Zhou Juan continues, saying that after his death, her brother was forced to imprison the girl in a pearl so that the beauty in the form of a demon could remain in the human world at least a little longer. Now the spider understands that Zhou Qiang was simply trying to save his beloved sister and prevent the world from plunging into the abyss of suffering. But he didn't tell the creature everything, only for her protection. Suddenly, the cultivator points to a young man with a cat on his shoulder. It was because of this young man that the doctor did not succeed. Master Xuan stole the pearl, dooming the young lady to disappear. A man in a white coat, without thinking twice, jumps with his fists at his opponent. Anger closes a man's eyes and forces him to commit thoughtless actions. Our hero calmly throws a direct blow right into his opponent's jaw. Dr. Chang flies away without causing any harm to the young man. The young man immediately takes the pearl out of his pocket and hands it to the defeated enemy. The cultivator quickly goes to extremes and gets into fights instead of just talking. Zhou Qiang stands discouraged and looks at the person opposite with surprise. Was it really possible? Why does a man in a hospital gown choose the most extreme methods of achieving his goal? Instead of his brother, his sister apologizes. The demon explains that the man is adamant and talking to him was a futile exercise. The guy calmly hands over the pearl to the evil spirits. Master Eileen again admires the intelligence and foresight of his new master. With such a companion you can not only survive, but also achieve great success. Wang Er also does not stand aside. The magical creature has the most tender feelings for Mr. Xuan. Young, handsome, strong, fair. It can also replenish the supply of corpse energy. Regarding the eye of the soul, our hero will hold off on the transfer for now. But at the same time he promises that when the doctor needs the power of the stone to help his sister, the young man will gladly provide access to the scale. But the guy puts forward counter conditions for his help. Dr. Chang must tell everything he knows about the dangerous organization. The cultivator is very surprised by this condition. The Falling Gate is a very dangerous organization. It is better to forget about it and avoid it in every possible way. Otherwise, the owner of the scale of immortality can easily die. Cheng Xuan counters that he now has the two most important ingredients this company is looking for. Dangerous people will come for the guy sooner or later. Therefore, it is better to prepare for the meeting in advance. The fluffy cat is very angry. The animal has its own scores to settle with a dangerous organization. And the familiar demands to tell everything that is known about these people. The doctor accepts the young man's conditions. Since the young man will help the man in the hospital gown, he will tell everything he knows about the gates of heaven. The next moment, a powerful energy beam pierces the body of the talkative cultivator. The man flies back, unable to oppose anything to such power. The demon and the spider turn in horror in the direction from which the insidious blow came. The girls are very surprised by this turn of events and are ready to rush into battle if necessary. Our hero and his animal companion also turn around and look at the entrance to the cave. Master Eileen is slightly surprised. It seems to the creature that he has already heard a voice coming from the entrance somewhere. A beautiful woman appears in the doorway, possessing, along with these advantages, also enormous magical power. It can't be true, but this beauty is none other than Luo Xian. The mortally wounded cultivator recognizes the killer sent by the gate. Apparently these people tracked down the man in the hospital gown and now intend to put an end to the traitor. A fluffy cat can't believe that his former owner is a hired killer. This is definitely some kind of mistake and everything will be resolved now. The familiar jumps towards the owner of Luo Xian, trying to reason with her. But Chungshuan intercepts the animal, grabbing it by the tail. The guy warns that this woman is not at all the same that her friends saw in the immortality system. Meanwhile, the powerful sorceress pronounces judgment on the doctor. Not only did the man run away with his sister with important artifacts, but he also intends to give away secret information. A powerful black hand fetters the movements of the brother and sister. Continuing to shrink, this hand brings terrible torment to young relatives. Death awaits them now for their betrayal. Mrs. Xian turns her gaze to Wang Er. The woman warns the magical protector so that the spider does not even think of doing anything. The monster will still get there. A frightened young companion creature in wild horror tries to escape from a dangerous enemy. The girl is incredibly scared by the current situation. In response, the killer sends powerful death rays over the young lady's head. Master Eileen notices that the combat technique used by the guest is called Martial Spirit Ice Moon. These techniques are from the Luo Xian arsenal. This is probably the cat's former owner. Our hero tries to seize the moment and jumps to give the pearl to his former enemy, now a dying cultivator. We need to save the demon as soon as possible, otherwise she will disappear from the human world forever. The young lady calmly watches what is happening. The woman is so confident in her abilities that such resistance even makes her smile slightly. It will be all the more pleasant to destroy your enemies. With every light wave of the killer's hand, concentrated clots of enormous power fly at the young man. It will be incredibly difficult for our hero to cope with such pressure. The young man tries to resist the power of this woman, but each hit brings the guy injuries and terrible pain. This won't last long. The guest is too strong even for a young man. Luo Xian notices the scale of immortality in Master Xuan's chest. It seems that now it is possible to solve all the biggest difficulties of the organization in one fell swoop. The woman will tear out a piece of the meteorite from the young man's body. A powerful pulse of dark energy sent by the killer hits a magical obstacle. The guy should have already died, but something prevented the evil guest. Bound by magic, Zhou Qiang uses his threads to protect the young owner of the scale of immortality. Our hero watches in amazement as his former enemy saves his life. The doctor realizes that these are his last moments of life and asks the guy to save his sister and give her life back. And to give people the opportunity to escape, the doctor will take on the dangerous woman. Using spider threads, the doctor raises the dead and uses their power to restrain a dangerous woman. Luo Xian is briefly confused, giving our friends time to escape. Mr. Chang, continuing to restrain the guest, gives our hero the pearl with his sister. This is the only chance to save your loved one and only loved one. Chungshuan goes down to his blood slave and swears to the man in the white robe that he will definitely save Zhou Juan and bring the demon back to life. The young man picks up the unconscious beautiful lady and rushes as fast as he can to the exit. The cat, in despair, is still trying to convince his friend that the woman can be brought to reason. The handsome killer quickly comes to his senses and accumulates strength for a powerful counterattack. Did the doctor really think he could stop a powerful woman? But his guardian appears before the dying man and adds her corpse energy to the protective dome around Lady Xian. The magical creature would never leave the doctor alone. The monster will help his companion sister and support the man in his quest to apprehend the dangerous witch. Having put their forces together, the friends also transfer energy to the dead, strengthening their internal power many times over. Luo Xian begins to feel afraid. It seems that the young people decided to sacrifice themselves and bury themselves alive in this cave, taking the woman with them. The next moment, a powerful explosion echoes in the cave. The stones crumble from all sides, sealing everyone who was there inside. It is unlikely that anyone will be able to get out of such a trap alive. Our hero, carrying an unconscious slave in his arms, manages to leave the cave before destruction. An explosion and collapse comes from behind the guy. The young man manages to escape almost at the last moment. The columns of dust have not yet had time to dissipate, but the former founder of the Institute of Magical Mechanics calmly emerges from under the rubble of the stone. The sacrifice of the doctor and his companion did not bring any result. Cheng Xuan turns around at Lady Xian's voice and realizes that he has no time to escape. We urgently need to come up with something. The woman is too strong and will not give the guys a chance to escape. A powerful sorceress releases a sickle of magical energy towards the young man. The beauty is not going to waste her time anymore and intends to take the scales right now. The deadly weapon instantly cuts our hero and his young blood slave in half. The guys had no chance against such a huge force. Having finished with the young people, the woman looks slightly puzzled. Either it seems to her, or something is wrong here. The smell of the young man's breath instantly disappeared. Instead of two dead bodies, there are dead phantoms lying on the ground. The ghosts were created by a special ring that even copies the spirit of his creations. Still, our friends managed to escape. Luo Xian is puzzled and even a little angry. The young man managed to outwit the woman and gain time for himself. Now there is no way to find a guy by the smell of his soul. And somewhere deep inside the cave, under the rubble of huge stone boulders, the hand of the guardian creature buried here moves slightly. A dying creature breathes its last vital breath. After some time, Master Xuan brings his companion and his animal to his home. The cat looks very upset after meeting his former owner. It will be necessary to console the friend, but first the slave must be brought to her senses. The task is completed, the young people are saved. In addition, the guy now has a promise to help the demon come back to life. Too much has fallen on our hero. Enormous responsibility, along with the constant threat of death, leaves its mark on the guy's soul. But you have to hold on. There is too much at stake. Suddenly the sound of the front door opening is heard. Who could it be? Did the enemies really find the young man so quickly? And he has absolutely no strength for a new battle. Aom enters the room. The little girl was very worried about her friend and director and came to his house to check how the young man was feeling. Seeing the terrible wounds on Cheng Xuan's body, the girl realizes that something terrible has happened. The beauty hugs her friend tightly and cannot contain her feelings. The owner of the scale of immortality, as usual, calms the baby down by telling some new fable. But the guy understands that the gates of heaven will look for him and his girlfriend will be in danger. Meanwhile, while the guys are hugging in the living room, Xiaoyi comes to his senses in the bedroom. The blood slave looks around and cannot understand where she is and how she got here. Through the slightly open door, the beauty sees young people hugging and decides to give them time to sort out their issues. The baby remembered how she was kidnapped and understands that the slave was saved by the owner. Xiaoman treats and bandages the wounds of the new director of the antique shop. The young lady really doesn't want something terrible to happen to her friend. Having calmed the girl, our hero sends the slave to do the business of the store while the young man rests and finishes his business. The beauty leaves and promises to look after the shop. Returning to his bedroom, the guy discovers a young maiden undressing there, who unceremoniously and unashamedly takes off the clothes woven by a half-woman spider. Cheng Xuan was dumbfounded when he saw the beautiful young female body, but the slave immediately pinned the guy against the wall. The young man had already seen all this with his X-ray vision. Now there is nothing to be ashamed of. The girl comes closer to the flushed boy and asks him to tell him everything that happened in more detail. In the meantime, she herself will be able to change into these strange clothes. The young master, turning away so as not to be embarrassed, talks about all the new events. About a cultivator who sacrificed himself for his sister. About a demon and the cat's former owner. Now in the hands of a man is a pearl, inside of which is a lost soul. The guy doesn't even know how she is. Plus Eileen is very upset about what happened. We need to help him somehow. Our hero looks very tired. In addition to all this, the heavenly gates are now hunting for them and the literally existence of all life on the planet is at stake. It puts a little pressure on my head. The lovely lady listens to her master's story. The girl is worried about her friend, but at the same time she has a request to the young man. The beauty invites the guy to meet. To say that Cheng Xuan was stunned by such a request would be an understatement. The young man was speechless and no longer understood what was happening. Looks like he just needs some rest. The next day, the rested guys walk around the shopping center. Xiaoyi explained that she only needed to pretend to be a guy for her father. Otherwise, the head of the clan will marry his daughter to some important people. The wounds on the young man's body have already healed. The guy doesn't quite understand why he needs to buy new clothes. After all, a young man can go to a meeting with the baby's father in his own suit. The beauty hugs her date and says that her boyfriend should look cool, not just good. The little girl became slightly sad. Apparently the girl felt a pang of something when she saw her friends hugging yesterday. Cheng Xuan notices that something has changed in the slave's behavior. The cutie wasn't so active before. It looks like some changes have happened to the girl. To defuse the situation, our hero decides to play along with his companion and hugs her around the waist. If they are a guy and a girl, then such a manifestation of feelings is quite normal. While the cat sweetly licks at the display case with lingerie, Xiaoyi grabs the young man's hand and joyfully pulls him along. Now they will look for something interesting in the stores of the shopping center. Having had their fill of running around the floors, the friends go to a local cafe to eat ice cream. Eileen looks much more cheerful than yesterday. The walk did the cat good. The young man finally decides to ask his magical companion about yesterday's meeting with his former owner and the creator of the Institute of Magical Mechanics. The animal realizes that Luo Xian is no longer what it used to be. But she's still alive. This means that there is hope to snatch the woman from the clutches of the cultivators. This understanding gives strength to the being. Our hero is very happy for his friend. The young man makes a promise that he will help the magical creature return his former owner to normal. The blood slave happily watches her companions. Previously, the guys fought like dogs, but now admiring their friendship brings pure pleasure. It's time to choose a suit for the new guy. Already in the fitting room of the store, Mr. Xuan shows a cool suit. The guy thinks he looks awesome in it. The beauty just sighs. The young man looks like a waiter. Unable to withstand our hero's bad taste, the slave forcefully pushes her master into the fitting room. It looks like you need to take everything into your own hands, otherwise it will be impossible to appear with such a guy in public. The sexy beauty begins to tidy up the young man's appearance. He unbuttons and turns up his collar. Such closeness of a beautiful baby does not go unnoticed by the guy. Xiaoyi shyly moves aside. Maybe the young man just has a Snickers in his trouser pocket. But the girl understands what is really there and it becomes difficult for her to breathe. The owner of the scale of immortality is also seriously embarrassed. This awkward position and confined space gives rise to strange, incongruous sounds emanating from our heroes. The locker room door opens and Eileen, who has turned into a young lady, looks inside. The cat was looking for his friends for a long time and came to loud unusual sounds. The magical creature opens its magnificent chest, and there a new mission of the highest rank is displayed. We need to find the heart of the Lord of the Sky. The deadline is 2 weeks. Master Xuan wonders what this could mean. What is the highest rank and who is the ruler of the sky? It seems that friends have new problems. Going out into the street, the friends carefully read the assignment. Master Eileen himself is not sure what the mission says. Usually a couple of days are given to complete the task, but here it's 2 weeks. The young master thinks. Looks like the mission is really difficult. In addition, in the past the system gave some hints. And now absolutely nothing. The blood slave remembers that she heard somewhere about the Lord of the Sky. There is something elusively familiar in this name, but I can't remember what exactly. The young man notes with surprise that young girls should be interested in women's things, and not historical information. It turns out that the baby has a doctorate. Not paying attention to the guy's remarks, the little girl remembers that her grandfather told her something similar. It seems there was a mention in a relative's research notes. But I can't remember exactly. Suddenly, our friends are almost hit by a car speeding past. The guy managed to dodge at the very last moment. What's going on here again? Have the guys already been found? A red-haired beauty suddenly jumps out of the opened car door and, with the tip of her blade aimed at our hero, makes a dangerous lunge, trying to kill the young man. Eileen warns the owner that in front of them is a very powerful cultivator. Perhaps second level, but maybe more. The young man needs to be very careful. Cheng Xuan confidently dodges the lethal move. Sniffing, the guy hears some strange earthy smell. Having caught the edge of the blade with his fingers, the owner of the Scales of Immortality says that the woman will have to use something more serious to defeat him. The red-haired beauty calmly swings her blade again, but aims at a completely different place. A young man shouldn't be so self-confident. Having barely managed to spread his legs, the young man at the very last moment manages to keep his bells unharmed. This is a very insidious step that pulls the rug out from under the guy's feet. A blood slave instantly rushes to the defense of her master. The girl reassures her Aunt Hong by saying that her companion is a friend, not an enemy. The cultivator calms down. Master Xuan's face fell in surprise. Su Hong is the young beauty's aunt and also a powerful sorceress and martial arts master. How is this even possible? The red-haired woman had just returned from a mission on another continent and immediately learned that her niece was in trouble. The mighty warrior rushed to find her beloved girl. While the beauties are chatting, the familiar notices a strange emblem on the Su Hong blade. This is the seal of the famous Ma Juan school. Our hero is even more perplexed. The magical creature explains that it is one of the 4 powerful schools of grave robbers. These are cultivators who specialize in excavating ancient burials in search of artifacts. The red-haired warrior takes the cat by the scruff of the neck and is surprised at the knowledge of this familiar. Kitty is right, the corporation is just a front for the Xia family. Cheng Xuan is surprised by the new information and asks the slave if all this is true. The girl sincerely apologizes. She wanted to tell her friend everything, but did not find the right moment. Our hero is thinking. In principle, everything is logical. The slave was not at all afraid when she saw Eileen for the first time. In addition, the antique shop is full of magical items. Should have guessed earlier. Su Hong scolds his niece. The young lady is having a wedding soon and the girl said that she has a boyfriend. Is this idiot really the beautiful young man? Xiaoyi stands up for his friend and master. The guy had already saved the life of a young maiden several times. And if not for his strength and courage, the aunt and niece would never have met. Naturally, the young man begins to be proud of himself and turn up his nose. The young man is ready to receive applause and praises addressed to him. He really tried very hard to protect the girl. The red-haired woman grabs Cheng Xuan by the scruff of the neck and warns him not to become arrogant. And then the aunt catches an interesting aroma that the young man exudes. The cultivator grabs his niece and notices that the girl has the same aura scent as the guy. Are young people really using paired cultivation? It is clear that Su-hong is very upset. The slave's father wanted to protect his daughter from the world of magic and give her an ordinary happy life. Now Mrs. E has buried this dream. The beauty breaks away from her aunt's arms and declares that the father did not care about his daughter at all. In addition, the young cutie has her own reasons for gaining additional powers related to the death of her mother. Our hero, together with the red-haired cultivator, look respectfully at the young lady. Apparently the girl has grown up a long time ago and can independently decide what kind of life she wants. Mrs. Hong no longer wants to meddle in her niece's affairs, giving her freedom of choice. But he notes that if young people want to be together, Master Xuan will have to show good abilities. Our hero notices that he will be fully armed for the show. Moreover, the guy will have the best welcome gift for the old master and the head of the clan. The red-haired beauty advises the young man not to show off. The opponent will be strong. In the meantime, the aunt is taking the girl home. The baby needs to rest and change clothes. The friends say goodbye and agree to meet at the viewing party in 2 days. The girls get into the car and drive to their mansion. The guy understands that soon it's not a show, but a fierce battle that awaits him. Eileen points out that victory in this battle for the hand of the beauty will not only help the slave gain freedom from her admirers, but will also bring the young man closer to her grandfather, who knows about the heavenly ruler. And at the same time, in the VIP room of a famous nightlife establishment in the city, a self-confident young man is preparing to marry Xia and gain legitimate power over her clan. 2 days later, our hero stands in front of the huge mansion of the Xia clan, behind which a powerful family of grave robbers is hiding. Grandfather is a blood slave, the head of one of the 4 clans. The young owner of the Scale of Immortality is met by the butler and escorted into the house. Everyone is ready to meet the candidates for the hand and heart of the young mistress of the house. The young man feels a little out of place. The head of one of the clans must be the most powerful cultivator. What such a person should look like and how to behave correctly with him. The girls are going down the stairs. Lady E walks ahead. The girl is as beautiful as beauty in itself can be beautiful. Cutie is very happy to meet her friend. The red-haired aunt tells her niece that her father will not be able to come to the ceremony. Xia looks more angry than upset. The slave assumed something like this. The young lady approaches her imaginary boyfriend and happily greets the man. The beauty suggests going straight to Grandpa's library on the 2nd floor. Cheng Xuan imagines a huge, strong and practically invincible cultivator. Just like the leader of such a powerful family should be. Behind the heroes, a small and inconspicuous old man appears, surrounded by a retinue of servants. Our hero doesn't quite understand who he is. Perhaps one of the servants is inviting people to come into the house. The granddaughter immediately runs up to hug her beloved grandfather. The red-haired cultivator respectfully greets the head of the family. Who would have thought that so much power could be in the hands of an ordinary person? Master Eileen is a little surprised and even annoyed. The cat couldn't smell the cultivator's spiritual power from this person. This grandfather is not as simple as he seems. Xia introduces his groom to the relative and offers not to organize any more viewings. You can simply warn Zhang Yang that the girl has a fiancé. The old man warmly welcomes the young man, but explains that the 4th son of the head of the Zhang family will come to marry him. You can't just cancel the show. It's not respectful. The young owner of the Scale of Immortality presents his gift to the head of the house. This is an ancient book of 300 Tang poems. The manuscript was lost long ago and is of great value. Xia Shiha is very pleased with such a significant gift. Such a rare specimen must have been difficult to obtain. The owner of the house becomes interested in where exactly the guy was able to get this creation. Our hero is a little embarrassed by the interest shown. The book was purchased for a tidy sum from the Taoist priest of the Hualin temple. Master Xuan is very pleased that he was able to please his grandfather. Suddenly, another contender for the hand and heart of the beautiful daughter of the head of the corporation appears in the room. The young man immediately begins to ridicule his rival's gift. Zhang Yang makes a compelling case that this collection is not the original. And since the young man brought a fake, he admitted his own lack of education. The homeowner is very pleased with the presentation. The old man does not reveal his true emotions. But Mrs. E looks as if she was personally insulted. A confident guy invites others to see what genuine antiques actually look like and presents his gift. This is the 42 Jan Sutra. Our hero politely offers to also check the opponent's presentation for a fake. If we're going to check, then check everyone. It's hard to refuse Mr. Xuan's logic. Without allowing anyone to come to their senses and come up with counterarguments, the owner of the heavenly scale uses the built-in X-ray to show everyone present which of the books is real. Under the influence of magic, the cover on our hero's gift burns and the original 42 Jan Sutra appears. But the book, brought by the sleep of one of the clans of grave robbers, burns to the ground. Su Hong is stunned by what is happening. It turns out that Mr. Xuan is still very well versed in antiquities. But Master Yang, despite all his knowledge and the advantage of his family, brought a fake and didn't even know it. The owner of the house is pleased with the result of the start of the inspection. Grandfather is very interested in the behavior of both young people, but, as usual, nothing is clear from the old man's face. Cheng Xuan presents his gift, the original 42 Jan Sutra. And he does not forget to add that such a poser and a guy who does not understand antiquities is not a match for Xiaoyi. Angered by such a daring act and publicly disgraced, Zhang Yang rushes to attack the young man. The son of the head of one of the largest clans is not going to forgive such insults. The red-haired aunt of the blood slave immediately stands between the men and takes out her blade. No one will have a fight in this house. The guys need to calm down. The owner of the mansion stops Mrs. Hong. The old man forbids me to interfere. Let the boys fight and the rest of us can watch. Cheng Xuan accepts the owner's offer and takes a fighting stance. The guy has a couple of surprises hidden here too. The immortal is not put to rest, the owner of corpse energy is ready for a fight. Master Yang summons his magical powers. The wedding between representatives of the two families was a foregone conclusion. And if it weren't for this bastard, everything would have gone well. The slave is very worried about her master. After all, the son of the head of one of the clans has a very high level. But Eileen looks inspired. We still need to see who will win who. Our hero calmly rushes into the attack. It is clear that the young man was preparing for such a turn and the guy had some kind of surprise hidden. The young man hits the enemy in the jaw with such force that the daring young guy flies far back. Cheng Xuan didn't even have to use any additional techniques. The owner of the house, along with his granddaughter and cat, rejoice at this state of affairs. Apparently our hero was underestimated again. The young man does not just punch, but hits acupuncture points, increasing the force of the blow. Su Hong wonders who her niece actually chose as her husband. This man is not at all as simple as he seems at first glance. Amazed by how easily his opponent defeated him, Master Yang rises to his feet. He is the heir of a powerful clan and will not allow himself to be disgraced so easily. The young man takes out a small tube and releases a strange insect from it. This is a poisonous carrion beetle. A very rare and very dangerous creature. A dark creature with huge and razor-sharp teeth instantly rushes at Mr. Cheng Xuan. In surprise, the guy only manages to raise his hand in hopes of defending himself. Zhang Yang is pleased with the effect produced. This beetle, bred by the young man's father, can cause an entire body to rot with just one bite. These insects are the achievement of the Zhang clan. A second later, the dangerous creation lies on the floor with broken teeth. And our hero watches the insect in bewilderment. The body of the owner of the scale of immortality turned out to be quite durable. The astonished groom rushes to his defeated creation. This simply cannot be. The guy's father is known as the Lord of the Underworld. The young man promises to take revenge on the offender. Master Xuan listens to this whole nervous tirade quite calmly. The self-confident young man is convinced that the owner of the clan is actually ashamed of such a stupid and narcissistic son. Xia Shiha stops his guest in an attempt to continue the competition. The boy lost to his opponent and must leave and not disgrace his family. Grandfather orders the whining boy to be taken out of the house. While the guy continues to ask to discuss everything calmly, the old man firmly points out that the wedding can no longer be discussed. After this, the slave's grandfather praises the young man for an excellent victory. The man his granddaughter chose simply could not lose. The head of the house is impressed. Aunt Hong is equally impressed. The owner of the scale of immortality is truly capable of surprising. The woman begins to understand why her niece chose him. Our hero stands embarrassed in front of people. Of course, the guy thought through everything in advance and prepared. Nevertheless, the young man is very pleased with himself and the effect produced. Cheng Xuan is also happy for his girlfriend, whom he managed to help lose her annoying fiancé. But the girl opposite looks at the young man modestly. Even a little guilty. Xia Shiha sent the girls for a walk, and he took the young man with him to the library. Men have something to discuss without unnecessary ears. The large room was full of various ancient artifacts. The old man immediately points out that our hero is immortal. Somehow, the clan elder was able to determine the true identity of the guest. Moreover, the grandfather knows that his granddaughter is now a blood slave. To say that our friends were stunned would be an understatement. Apparently this not a young man is not so simple at all. Although he seems like a simple old man. Mr. Shiha is glad that the young man saved his family from the presence of a stranger. This problem could develop into something serious in the future. Master Xuan calmly accepts the praise and thinks about how to lead the conversation towards the Heavenly Lord and obtain the information necessary for the task. The grandfather continues that despite everything, he cannot forgive the guy for what he did to his granddaughter. The girl is doomed to never rest and never have a normal life again. If only. The aura emanating from the head of the house at that moment briefly penetrated the defense of the experienced cultivator. The old man is truly very dangerous. Cheng Xuan understands that he will have to fulfill any request of his grandfather. The owner of the heavenly scale admits his guilt and is ready to fulfill any human request. This is the only way the guy will have a chance to find out the information he needs. The owner of the house calms down, seeing the young man's obedience. In addition, our hero may also benefit from the old man's future request. The guy will be able to find out about his father. The young man is surprised again. The guy has never seen his dad and knows nothing about his past. Where the hell does this grandfather have such data? The deceased bombards the old man with questions. The young man's father died long ago. Was Master Shiha really familiar with him and could really tell about the man's past? Grandfather explains that not only did Cheng Jue know, but the entire Xia family is indebted to him. Once upon a time, our hero's father saved the life of the owner's son. This man was a cultivator and an excellent thief of antiquities. They called him the indestructible eagle. Somehow, in one of the graves, friends met a monster, and the man distracted the creature towards himself. Eileen's mouth opened in surprise. The cat heard about this man from Luo Xian. The former owner was very respectful of the man. And now it turns out that this is the father of the new master. The guy also cannot believe that his father was a cultivator. Just recently, our hero's life was calm and measured. Now the guy is a walking corpse, and his dad was a powerful magician. Cheng Xuan's only memory of his relative is how one day he came home, left a lot of money for his mother and left. Nothing more was heard from him. But my mother did not want to discuss her husband. It turns out that Cheng Jue could have remained alive and simply disappeared. In this case, helping the father of the head of the corporation can lead the young man to his own daddy. The old man shows the divine scale that the indestructible eagle asked his son to return before he disappeared. She was found in a 1,000-year-old tomb of the Celestials. The furry animal immediately suspected deception in the words of the younger man. The scales arrived on Earth with a meteorite about 20 years ago. There was no way they could have been in an ancient grave. Mr. Shiha says that fragments have arrived on Earth before. They just tried to hide their appearance. Now, in the information age, the new appearance has become public knowledge. Ancient cultivators were afraid of power struggles and hid their stones, passing the secret from generation to generation. The scale of our hero's father is one of the most ancient. Cheng Xuan seriously thinks about the old man's words. So much new information. Father cultivator may still be alive. Possession of an ancient artifact. The owner of the house adds that he was not at all offended that the young man made a slave out of his granddaughter. In fact, the relationship between a guy and a girl is the fate of two families. The old man continues the story of how a man went to Mount Zongnan to find the heart of the Heavenly Lord. Perhaps our hero will succeed in what his dad did not succeed in. The magical animal companion reminds that the system of immortality spoke about this particular ruler. The guy is in a hurry to shut the mouth of the careless creature. There's no need to rant too much. Grandpa pretends that he did not hear the unfamiliar expression and continues his story. The strongest cultivator explains how to get to the right place and what exactly needs to be done. Cheng Xuan is happy with the way things are going. He will be able to complete the task, find the key to his father's disappearance and help one of the 4 strongest cultivator clans. Xia Shiha gives the young man a piece of meteorite left by a family friend. Perhaps there is some clue in it that will help the young man in this difficult matter. In addition, Mr. Shiha will allocate one of the masters of the Maojin school to help our hero. A small beetle sits on top of one of the cabinets and carefully watches people. Both people instantly catch a quiet rustling sound coming from one of the library shelves. Both the young man and the old man immediately become wary. A slight wave of the hand of the ancient cultivator and a small mini-explosion occurs near the insect. Not strong enough to damage furniture or artifacts. As they get closer, the men determine that it is a poisonous beetle of the Zhang family. Apparently they eavesdropped on the entire conversation. Most likely, this clan will now also want to receive the heart of the Heavenly Lord. Some time later, Cheng Xuan and his familiar are sitting in a store and thinking about the upcoming task. It would be nice to know something about my father. Yes, and you also need to complete the mission. The cat reminds that the head of a powerful clan promised to give the guy an experienced guide. I wonder who it could be. The depraved animal imagines a sexy girl. The doors open and 2 beauties enter the antique shop. Lady Su Hong in marching armor and her niece Xiayi, joyful at being able to be with her master. The guys were instantly happy. They will be accompanied by good friends, and a slave. And the lustful furry creature will actually get 2 sexy girls instead of 1. The red-haired beauty immediately dots all the I's. Auntie is an experienced traveler and a strong cultivator. If everyone listens to her, there will be no problems. On the road anyway. The cat immediately jumps with joy onto the chest of a pretty woman in tight armor. The animal considers it too wasteful to hide such a treasure under combat armor. Having received a small poke, the magical creation flies to the side. And Su Hong calmly continues to tell young people how to behave on the road. An experienced lady distributes hiking costumes to friends. They were specially created for the occasion of this trip. Clothes are greatly lightened in weight with the help of magic and have protective properties. Having tried on his armor, our hero is convinced that the armor is really almost not felt on the body. A long hike in such a suit will be as comfortable as possible. But Master Eileen is extremely dissatisfied with his appearance. It does not suit the brutal temperament of the animal at all. But the blood slave, on the contrary, is very embarrassed. Her clothes are very revealing. The girl was not used to having all her prominent parts of her body visible so easily. The young man does not understand why they need to wear this armor all the way to their destination. The red-haired maiden explains that the friends still need to visit the underground city and get something. Su-hong is tired of stupid conversations. The woman sets fire to some paper with a spell and throws it on the floor. It's time to hit the road. Moreover, the road does not promise to be easy. Where the piece of paper fell, a huge stone mouth grows, inside of which there is a deep cave. Once inside, young people will find themselves in the right place. The experienced cultivator went first to set an example for the others and not waste time on explanations. The clan elder said to find the Yin Mingdong Bao jewel. This is among other things. It's pretty gloomy inside. Beauty is a little scared in this place. And the young man looks around, trying to find that same city. Master Eileen explains to the uneducated owner that the city of the underworld is a great secret market on the border with hell. It is highly popular among cultivators. The young man did not expect that magicians had a market. Perhaps Mr. Schwan will be able to find something interesting for himself here. In general, you can build a good business here. Ms. Hong warns that the team doesn't have time to do anything else. We need to find the jewel as quickly as possible. Xia Shiha said that without this weapon one cannot enter the tomb. Finally, the friends reached the underground market. It turns out that this is a very busy place. And what kind of creatures can you find here? Starting from spirits and ending with monsters. Xiaoyi feels fear from this creepy place. Some strange creatures pass by the girl. The beauty is afraid to even touch some local residents. The blood slave is frightened by the man in the creepy mask and hides behind her aunt. The red-haired beauty warns that these are ghosts hired to maintain order. You should behave calmly. Taking a closer look, our heroes notice how the local guards are snooping around here and there. It is clear that they are trying to maintain tolerable relations between traders and buyers. Suddenly, the ghosts throw the owner of one of the local shops to the ground and demand a debt from him for rent. The man's kiosk was 3 days past due. A person asks for a deferment due to lack of money. Suddenly, some traveling fortune teller appears from the crowd and reports that the shopkeeper actually has money. It seems like a couple of days ago he found in Mingdong Bao. Our hero and his animal companion become wary. This is the jewel that friends need to find. Looks like it makes sense to stay a little longer at this place. And the prophet shouts to the guards to take away the merchant's property. Then he will quickly find money for rent. The young man, who was in debt to the local authorities, was already warped. Xiaoyi is sincerely happy. Friends found the right thing. All that remains is to buy it. But the aunt sharply suppresses her niece's attempts to do anything. Su-hong explains that the rules are different. The guards specifically take away the debtor's junk in order to profit from something. And predictors participate in this process as informers. If you offer money now, the ghosts will not be happy, since they will not be able to take anything from it. The company of travelers has no choice but to wait for the outcome of events. The poor merchant shows all his belongings. There is nothing special to take and nothing to pay off the debt with. Now, if they give it a little more time, it will be possible to sell some of this and return the money to the treasury. The prophet scratches his head. Could it be that his information turned out to be erroneous and there is no Mingdong Bao here? The guard may ask for incorrect information. The shop owner grins sarcastically. The jewel is protected by a 5-level camouflage spell. Only a very experienced sorcerer will be able to find it in this trash. The merchant offers the guard some of the most valuable items from his bag as collateral. The rest of the things are not of particular value. The ghosts take the entire bag and wait for the person to repay the entire debt. The shop owner angrily hits the ground with his fist. Where will he get the money for the ransom if everything was taken from him? Meanwhile, the prophet points out to the gentleman that they have earned a lot today according to local law. And the old man asks for the smallest payment for his services. The toothless grandfather puts his hand into the bag with the merchant's belongings and takes out a small, inconspicuous stone. Security reprimands the informer for poor quality information. But the ghosts invite the local charlatan to correct his mistake. The masked creatures demand to thoroughly find out everything about the heavenly seal. For this the person will receive a good reward. The old man promises to do everything and says goodbye to the local authorities. A man without teeth is very pleased with himself. It looks like he managed to get a great jackpot. Once you find this seal, you will be able to rise well. The blood slave looks upset. It looks like the jewelry my friends need is missing here. Now you will have to walk for who knows how long through this terrible place, located next to hell. Our hero stops desperate women. It looks like their search is over. The item you need is right here, with this fortune teller. The old man holds Mingdong Bao in his hands and rejoices at his new acquisition. Now a man can buy himself a gambling shop and earn normal money. A red-haired cultivator approaches the toothless grandfather and offers a huge amount of money for the pebble. The prophet cannot believe his luck and asks the woman if she made a mistake. Mrs. Hong throws money at the man and repeats her desire to buy the stone. The rest of the friends stand nearby and watch. The young people are ready if the old man does something wrong. The fortune teller throws a stone into a common pile of similar pieces of earth and offers to find on the first try what these strange people are looking for. The woman begins to be indignant, because the toothless grandfather has already taken the money. But our hero calmly agrees to the deal. And only requires, in case of success, to fulfill all the conditions and give up the item. X-ray vision and the ability to accurately identify artifacts are exactly what is needed now. Mrs. Hong asks her companion if he is sure that there really is the necessary artifact here. Otherwise, a lot of money will go down the drain. Cheng Xuan is not only confident in the success of the business. The appraiser's skill will allow the guy to take advantage of this situation. The young man confidently accepts the scammer's terms. The old man is stunned by what he hears. The guy did not warn the prophet that he had a special skill in assessing the authenticity of objects. This game becomes unfair. Our hero warns that the conditions were set by the toothless grandfather himself. In addition, you can always tell the guards how the scammer deceived them and took a valuable item for himself. Having calmed the fortune teller, the owner of the scale of immortality extends his hand with the necessary artifact and begins to shine through the objects lying on the ground. The red-haired madam understands how this scam works. Among the useless things there are hidden valuables, and for a certain amount of money people can try to guess where everything is. The experienced rogue moved on. He doesn't post anything of value at all. And before the arrival of strange people, he managed to replace Cheng Xuan with an ordinary stone. Our hero continues to carefully examine the pile of garbage. The blood slave hopes that everything will work out for the master. The girl dreams of getting out of here as quickly as possible. The young man, under the satisfied look of the local rogue, takes out one of the stones and says that he has chosen his prize. The prophet is sincerely happy that he managed to preserve the artifact and replenished his pocket with a tidy sum. Here the faces of everyone present change. The shell falls off the stone and the heavenly seal is exposed. Not exactly what was needed, but it's a really serious subject. The prophet's eyes popped out of their sockets. Master Eileen explains that this jewel is a very ancient object, created by the Celestials. According to myths, this thing surpasses all priceless level artifacts. The scammer is angry at his stupidity. After all, this is exactly what the local ruler is looking for everywhere. If the prophet had presented the item to the ruler, he would have been able to derive enormous benefit from it. The young man thanks the rogue for a good game. My friends no longer have the money for another game, so I'll have to make do with what I have. The toothless old man offers our hero an exchange. Heavenly seal on the jewelry Mingdong Bao. After all, it seems that this is exactly the thing the young man was looking for. Mr. Xuan politely refuses the unlucky rogue. A seal is a good prize in a fair game. The guy prefers to keep this powerful artifact for himself. The old man falls to his knees and offers to pay handsomely for the heavenly seal. You can even double what your friend spent on this game. But the young man remains adamant. Unable to withstand anger and seeing that the gentleman can leave with the treasured item, the fortune-teller rushes at the young man, trying to take the jewel by force. The grandfather bites our hero's hand holding his cherished goal. The young man was taken aback by surprise. And the prophet felt some strange taste. The next moment, the local fortune-teller tumbled and stumbled back. It cannot be that this boy was born on the day of a pure soul. The fraudster falls to his knees and asks for forgiveness. The old man did not know that the young man was Pangwan. Otherwise the man would not have allowed himself such insolence. The fortune-teller sincerely asks to spare him. Cheng Xuan is very surprised by this unexpected behavior. And this is also a new word that the toothless man called him. What could this mean?
If you have watched up to this point, then I am very grateful to you, because this is where the video ends. If it's not difficult for you, then like this video and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to continue this story, then write in the comments. Thank you all, I love you all.